What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 139 of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. But it's Three Dudes and Some Bullshit tonight. This was, I just said that, episode 139. We are watching the Blair Witch Project tonight, the original from 1999. My name's Dave McRae, coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. He's Tony Michael in Atlanta, Georgia. Folks, we have Knightly Giaimo on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live! We're live! We're live! Where are you around the world? This is going to be a good show tonight. A watch along, our first in a little bit. We'll get back to our what-if scenarios next week. But we are going to be watching the original The Blair Witch Project tonight from 1999, and yes. This was Knightly's his choice. So before I bring Knightly in here, Knightly Giaimo, of course, was one of our executive producers on It's Me, Billy. He also, I believe, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was an executive producer or a producer as well on Never Hike in the Snow. He was also in Never Hike in the Snow as young Jason. So when Jason kneels down in front of Pamela Voorhees and there's that dream surreal kind of thing happening and the reverb on Mummy's voice, hello, son, Jason, all that kind of stuff. And then the camera pivots and turns, and there's young Jason. That is Knightly. He's a star. He's a star. He gets himself involved in all sorts of independent films, and and obviously he's a huge contributor to Dylan's New Nightmare as well. When that gets going, we can't thank him enough for the contribution. I mean, all of you, everybody who has contributed to the campaign, obviously we thank you. But the package that Knightly chose to pick and become an executive producer on that level is just incredible, and we can't thank him enough. Without him, the film would not be possible. That is 100% true. So let's bring Knightly in here right now. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Hey. Knightly, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, just chilling.
Just chilling, having a good time. Now I see behind you there, you've got the It's Me, Billy poster behind you. You've got the Never Hike in the Snow, two Never Hike in the Snow posters behind you. That is really cool indeed, my man. That's kind of cool to see that, because it's my movie behind you. But anyway,
Sure it is.
Yeah, and it's really cool to see that. So Knightly, thanks, man, so much for being here and for being the awesome contributor that you are. And Knightly was actually, we were going to get him in It's Me, Billy. That was one of the just like he was in Never Hike in the Snow, we wanted to bring Knightly on board and be in It's Me, Billy. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and that was not possible because of the restrictions at the border and all that kind of stuff. But Knightly, you are actually, so we gave you a set tour, a Zoom set tour for about 45 minutes or so, where I took you around the set when we were all on our break, and you got to talk to everybody and the actors and stuff. And we did get you in the movie. We did get you in the movie. Why don't you tell everybody where you are in It's Me, Billy, for those people that may not know?
So after Victoria, Sam is looking at her grandmother's ornament on the tree, she goes over and looks at the framed photo of Olivia Hussey. But next to that, a little bit in the background, is a gold framed photo, and that is me, and I'm next to Dave McRae's parents.
That is correct. That's right. So when you watch It's Me, Billy, and you see Victoria there and she's looking at her grandmother, just sort of, it's a little out of focus at first, and then when she puts the picture back, I think Jacqueline, our first AC, I think she racks focus, and you become very much in focus with my parents as well. And that was our way of getting you in the movie without you being in the movie kind of thing. It was the best thing we could do. Actually, I think it was your idea, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to take credit for it. I think it was your idea. You had said, hey, maybe I could be in like a photo or something. And I'm like, that's an amazing idea. I was like, let's do it. Yeah, it was your idea. It was your suggestion.
I really appreciate that, because it's like, I mean, you didn't have to. You stated it on the Indiegogo that it just might not be possible to be in it, and so it was just really cool of you and everyone to do that. Like, that's awesome.
No problem, man. I mean, no problem. And it was really awesome sort of taking you on a set tour as well. That was really cool to be able to do that. You get insights.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
And I think your dad was on the Zoom call too for a bit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was. I think briefly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Kind of have this image of your dad in the background being like, hey, what's going on? You know, that kind of thing. And if your dad's watching right now, shout out to the dad, to the men, to pops everywhere, to the good dads everywhere, not to the bad dads everywhere. Why I had to preface that, I don't know. So Knightly, tell us why the Blair Witch Project.
All right. The Blair Witch Project is one of my favorite horror movies, and it's one of like the only ones that it just creeps me the fuck out. It's still like, even on rewatch, it is just like, I just get this uneasy feeling, and it's just really disturbing to me. Like the first time I ever saw Black Christmas, I also had that same feeling. There aren't that many movies that do that to me, and this was one of the few. And besides that, I just think it's really well done. It's not in your face with everything, and it's it has like a kind of open ending, but I love it. I think it is amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was, as I was saying, and I've told this before, and I think, Tony, the first time you saw this movie was in the movie theater as well, right? Like you saw it first in the movie theater?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Are your parents watching? Because I got to be careful what the state of mind frame that I was in when I saw this the first time. It was not a good mind frame to be in to watch this movie at all.
Gotcha. Well, maybe I'll give the PG So I will. So my version was more PG. I actually worked at a movie theater at the time, and my experience with the Blair Witch Project, I've told this before, but I'll just try to get through it fast. One of the reasons why this movie did so well was because of the marketing, right? It was one of the first movies to be marketed via the internet in the ways that it was. There were a lot of people that thought this thing was real because the marketing was so effective, and the internet was in its infancy, relatively speaking. So people were confused and, what is this? And the radio commercials and the internet and all that kind of stuff. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It made $150-something million at the box office on like a
$2 budget.
Yeah, it's just absolutely
crazy.
One of the highest grossing, most profitable films in history. But one of the big things, much like The Exorcist, although they're two very different things, okay? But much like The Exorcist, one of the things that was being marketed was like, it's so scary, you're going to throw up kind of thing, right? Well, people were throwing up like they were after watching The Exorcist, but it was for very different reasons. People were throwing up after watching The Exorcist or leaving in the middle of The Exorcist because nobody had ever seen anything like it, and it was really disturbing to them. It was a very different world. It was a very different time, right? And, but in 1999, the reason why, having worked at a movie theater, I figured out, not that I was the one that figured it out, but on my own, I was like, I think I know what's going on here. It was the motion sickness from people watching a film shot on 16, I think, or something like that. And anyway, you're watching this handheld film by and large for like 80 minutes on a screen that is like 30 feet in length, and there's a lot of this kind of stuff going up and down, and I realized that's why people are throwing up. The same thing happened at the beginning of Cloverfield from 2008. I went to see that in the movie theater and I felt nauseous. And I remember again, having worked at a theater, I went to the concessions and I took these little doggy bag kind of popcorn bags. I think they were like little kid bags or something. And I went into the theater, and before the movie, I remember saying to everybody, I said, now, here's the situation, the Blair Witch Project. We hope you enjoy the show. I said, however, I do have to say this. And I went through a spiel, and I said, if you suffer from motion sickness, you may feel a little nauseous because there's a lot of this going on. And so I asked. My manager didn't tell me to do this. I just did it because I didn't want to clean up the barf again. So I said, I just said, if anybody here, suffer from, and we handed out, like, I swear to God, like 50 doggy bags to people who would raise their hands and just to have them in case they felt sick and weren't going to make it to the bathroom in time. I remember it was like a summer afternoon. It was quiet, not too many people there. I was walking by one of the theaters. This is a separate day. And the Blair Witch Project theater door opens up. This teenage girl runs out, runs in front of me, stops and goes all over the carpet and everything. I'm like, And I'm like, it wasn't because she was so scared she had to puke. No, it was because of the motion sickness, right? Anyway, that's my story. Oh, and I did see the movie actually in the theater as well. I went and saw it, and I thought it was all right. Tony, you want to tell your story?
I saw it with a group. I saw it with a group of friends, and needless to say, we were 20 because we had just turned. You and I had just turned 20.
Correct.
When this came out. So we, like what late teen, early 20-year-old kids do, you smoke a little Mary Jane before a horror film. But I think what happened was, and if anyone who's ever experienced this, you know what I'm talking about, you push yourself a little bit too much rather than staying in the relaxed stage of smoking. I went a little bit too far
to the paranoid stage.
To the paranoid stage. So watching this in that state of mind frame was like, it just tripped me out. I just remember, and my friends were just like, they're like, dude, you're the, like, everybody in my school knew me as like the horror guy. I was just, everything, Michael Myers, Jason, all that stuff, that like nicknames beyond galore. And anytime we would do like horror movies, it was like, got to get Tony involved. They're over there chilling, having a great time. I'm in this state of like freaked out. And they're basically just like ragging on me throughout the whole movie because there wasn't a lot of people in the theater when we saw it. Like, I'd say probably about like 20 or 30 people. And I don't know why that is. It might have been the time of day that we went and saw it, but oh yeah, they never let that one down on me. It was just because I was so in that mind frame. And because of certain scenes that were happening in the movie and I couldn't see what was going on, and like what we had talked about last week when you had told me the movie he had selected, which Blair Witch is what is easy. It borderlines in my top 10 favorite horror films. I love this movie, so I couldn't say yes fast enough when David said it. It's like, yes, absolutely. Because I've been trying to get Dave to do this with me for a minute. But there's just certain scenes that you don't see what's going on. And like when Heather's running out of the tent and she's screaming, what the fuck is that? And in that mind frame, I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I don't see it. Like, what's going on? And I'm literally saying this in the theater, you know what I mean? And my friends are just like, dude, you're supposed to be the king of this shit. Like, we're laughing
so
at
you were that guy.
I'm freaked out. I'm like totally freaked out watching this movie. I left the theater like I bugged out. I'm not even joking. For about 2 weeks straight, I could not look at the woods near where I lived in Connecticut. I lived in a farm town, so we're always surrounded by woods.
Right.
And my house was by the woods, and I literally I would just do this. Walking. If I had to walk my dog, I could not look in the woods just for a couple of weeks. It bugged me out. Not because the movie's scary, because eventually when I rewatched it in the right state of mind frame, it was like, okay. Right. And I will say the one thing I do like about the Blair Witch, it's one of my go-to October films every year. It's just such a good rewatchable movie. I enjoy watching it. And like you started to say there about, how they sold this to us back in 99.
Oh yeah, it was big.
And the marketing, we thought it was real, and all this stuff like that. Obviously, you find out it's fake, but brilliant marketing. Yeah. Probably, if it's not the best found footage movie, it's certainly up there. I mean, to me, I think it's the best.
It certainly opened the door to the subgenre, that's for sure.
For sure. Absolutely. I know some people have their personal favorites, whether it's Paranormal Activity or Blair Witch or whatever, but I just think Blair Witch to me is just like, it's like the Halloween of this subgenre in horror.
I get you.
It's the best of the best, and it's really cool.
So Knightly, what was your first experience watching this movie? When did you first watch it? How were you introduced to it? What's your experience with it?
Okay, so I had heard of it. I had like everyone, I say everyone, like a lot of people talked about it, like it was a big movie, right? But I still hadn't seen it. When I was on set for Never Hike in the Snow, I guess in that scene, my co-star Lennon Hobson, who was Pamela, like we were just talking about horror movies, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you have to watch the Blair Witch Project." And so I was like, okay, I'll watch it. And yeah, I watched it, and it was just freaking me out the whole time.
It was, had your parents seen it before?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
So how old are your parents? Are they like mine and Dave's age?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe
Okay.
a little older.
Like a year older.
No, no, but that's really cool though. That's awesome, and yeah, I mean that's yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't say that I love the movie, but I definitely appreciate what it did. I think it was so successful largely because a lot of people thought it was real. Like I said, my mom thought it was real. When I told her it wasn't, she was upset.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, they did a terrific job.
I can only imagine back then. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's an old meme that I saw a while ago. I'm talking like 2009 Facebook years, where someone posted, "I knew the Blair Witch wasn't real when 3 college students go into the woods and nobody got laid."
That's funny. That's funny. That's funny. That's good.
Something, I'm paraphrasing it,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's out there. I'm sure it's a meme that's been out circling around, and I remember seeing that. I'm like, in hindsight, that's actually kind of true. And
that's funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's do this. Folks, we are paused, all three of us. I'm watching off Netflix. Knightly is watching off of Amazon, and Tony's watching off of iTunes. And we are all, the three of us are paused, actually, where the title of the movie is. So where it says...
The Blair Witch Project.
Right, The Blair Witch Project, just in white text on a black background. That is where we are paused. So if you're watching along with us, we'll give you a couple seconds to get that set up. Super chat comes in from Jim Dorsey. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Says, I saw this in the theater on opening night at college before the movie hit the mainstream, in a packed house with people that all thought it was real. Pretty cool experience. Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Yeah,
those are some of the best fun experiences when you get to see it beforehand and whatnot. Those are fun.
That's right. All right, let's do this.
Do it.
Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, here we go. In October of 1994, 3 student filmmakers disappeared in the woods near Burkittsville, Maryland. I think that's how I say that, right? Burkittsville? While shooting a documentary. A year later,
are you going all John Larroquette on us?
No, but I should do that.
You should have done it like John
I should have done
Larroquette.
that. I should have.
I heard he's back doing the narration for the new one.
Oh, is he really? Well, that makes sense.
I heard it, yeah.
That makes sense.
I saw the trailer for that today, the full trailer. It looks interesting.
Yeah, it looks,
There was some cheesy lines that I was like, really? We're going there with this? But
it just looks like what I expected it to look like. So we've opened up here. Now, what's her name again? This girl's name? Heather. That's right.
Yeah, I follow her on Instagram. She lives up in Maine.
Now, she's
all about growing that 420, and I think that's like what her livelihood is now. I think she has a business in cannabis.
These three
selling
quote unquote
cars. That's what you and I drove in high school.
I know these 3 quote unquote actors never really did anything after this, right? I mean, it wasn't.
Well, Josh actually behind the scenes, I think he's done a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Like he's still actively involved. He's just not in front of the camera, but he's doing a lot of stuff. I don't know if it's directing or producing,
right?
But he was at a con not too long ago, and he was talking about some of the stuff that he was doing.
Right.
It's mostly, like I said, behind the scenes shit.
Okay.
But Heather's she's doing her cannabis stuff up in Maine, and I don't know where this dude is. I have no clue. Mike.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite scene in the movie, Knightly? What would you say is your favorite scene?
I mean, that's hard, because of just the way it's paced. I guess it'd just be the final part when they arrive at the house.
Right.
You know what makes this movie so also foreshadowing? And Dave can back me up on this. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was filming themselves back in the 90s. Nobody had a camera on them. So to see something like this also come out, today it would be very common.
You mean like turning the camera around on themselves, you mean?
And just filming each other, filming friends. This is almost kind of like a hybrid of a vlog and...
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't say that's entirely true because I had a video camera as a teenager and I did that with my friends.
But this wasn't like a common thing.
No, it wasn't common.
Yeah, I was doing it with my friends too, but I mean like people weren't doing like we're today, you know what I mean? I'm saying juxtaposed to today where this shit is just, it's everywhere now.
Yeah.
We're inundated with it.
It's all over the place.
Yeah. And there was nowhere to place it or to put it either, right? Like you would shoot and you'd hang out
with your friends and family.
That's it. That's all you could do. You couldn't put it on a YouTube or anything like that. Like the slate board there too. Kiss the slate, do it.
What kind of slate board did you guys use? Electronic or old school?
Digital,
yeah.
Digital slate, yeah. Slate boards, for those people who may not know, I thought it was common knowledge, but some people don't know this. Obviously, it's all about syncing sound. That is why you hear the sound. Is so in post-production, you can look at the time codes and well, especially for a digital slate, you can sync up sound that way. So that is what a slate board is for. And yes, it is obviously to let you know what scene it is and what take it is and what camera it is, whether it's camera A, B, or C, if you're shooting with multiple cameras and all that kind of stuff. It's all for that too. But the reason why they go like this and bring it down is so you have a noise that you can pay attention to and help to sync up audio in post-production. I will say this, what makes this work so well too, and what makes this work, which is why some of the more modern found footage films don't work, is because it's something that Tony and I have talked about a lot too. It is not overly produced. It is very home movie. It's very home video. It's raw. They're not using actors, so it feels very natural in some of the raw kind of. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like I'm watching a home video, whereas. As the subgenre of found footage sort of took off and studios realized there might be some money in it, obviously because of the Blair Witch Project, some of them are just a little too produced. They feel
like the remake.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel
what I hated about Blair Witch, I wanted to love the 2016 Blair Witch movie. I really did. It looked good. And it does look good. If they pulled back on a lot of the sound design that they did, for the jump scares in the Blair Witch, that took me out of it. And I think the overuse of the stick figures and just the over the top, what made this movie so scary, like when Heather and Josh, is it Heather and Josh? I can't remember who finds it, or Mike, whoever finds it out in the woods, when we get to that part in the movie, it's just there, you know what I mean? Right. And that's what makes it creepy when it's outside of their tent, like they tried to do in the new film. I was just like, there's no payoff for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm not really feeling that.
Or like when Josh he just goes missing, and you don't find like a skinned corpse from Predator or something.
No, he's gone, and you might have little pieces of him showing up in the wrap there. Later on, but other than that, I mean, it was just this, like Dave said, this movie's so subtle in its scares. That's what makes it so effective. Kind of like Unfriended. I think that's why I liked Unfriended so much, because they didn't rely on a lot of special effects. It was a group of kids. It seemed believable. Other than the ending there, when you see that for a split second, you see Laura Barnes pop up at the very end. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's a split second at the very end of the movie. No big deal.
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity was the same way. That's why I think it was successful, because they didn't overproduce it until later on. It got crazy.
Well, yeah, because it feels very relatable. When you have, even though it's been proven to be a fake, but that which of course has been proven to be a fake, but there's that video that was sort of, it's like the Blair Witch Project of UFO, or the UFO Blair Witch Project kind of thing. Like, you know, it's that one where there's that family around a Thanksgiving table or something, and they hear like something kind of crap. But now it's a little sensational, okay? But the same principles apply, right? Where people are talking over each other. It feels very raw, feels very natural. How you would talk, the fear feels kind of real. Lights go out, you don't know what to do. You're picking up stuff, the camera's going up and down, which is why a lot of people feel the motion sickness, because there's a lot of this. You know, there's a lot of natural things, and you know, the reason why this movie and films like Paranormal Activity they rely on that is because they don't have the money. They don't have the money to do anything else than to make it feel very real. And we all can relate to home movies, right? Yeah. Exactly, and so
even these like sub characters, like they're interviewing this woman with the Bible in her hand.
Yeah, she's creepy.
Great character actor. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and I think she was a real person in town.
Mm-hmm. They all were, I think.
Yeah. These were all people that lived in the area. So adding that element to everything surrounding the movie is why it makes it feel real, even though we know it's not. It really makes, like, I can see a woman like this living in a trailer park. You know what I mean? And that's not like a diss or anything, but
right,
you know.
Right. I agree. Yep. No, I agree.
I think it also just makes it seem so genuine, because the main three, like, they're doing, you know, this documentary, and they seem all normal and nonchalant about it. But then when they're in the woods and shit hits the fan, like, they are screaming and terrified. And
it's terrifying.
Believable.
It is. And again, that I use this a lot, but it's true. Theater of the mind. I mean, when Heather is in the tent and she just hears the screams in the distance, right? And she's, you know, holding this, and like today, timing is everything, right? And you know, because technology has advanced so much and we don't really get that home movie vibe anymore, at least not in the same ways that we used to. When you watch this in 1999, it felt very real, because we all could relate to video cameras. Our parents had a video camera, or, you know, whatever it is.
Too. Yeah. Sort of in working order.
Right. So it looks like the production value looks like somebody's home movie. And a lot of the studio produced found footage movies don't necessarily look like that. They look a little too produced, a little too polished, right? A little too Hollywood. So if you remove that and you present something like this, it can have a, psychologically you buy into the reality of it, the reality of the presentation that they are sending. And if you're nuanced with what you show, and you don't show that much, and you try to keep it really grounded, it can have a really, really cool effect, a really frightening effect. And something that the Blair Witch movie from 2016, I only watched it once, but again was, you know, it tried to go a similar route. Sorry,
I sneezed there.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear it either.
One of the things that's from what I remember, I'd have to go back and watch it again, but the sound design in that film was, in my estimation, was too produced, and it sounded too studio. And, you know, it's important that when you are playing with sounds and you want them to feel real, like the witch is really, it has to sound like these sounds are in the environment, right? And so when you hear Mike or whoever it is off going, it sounds like he's yelling from the space, from the woods, in the environment, you know, and nothing is overly produced. There's no demonic sounds that come in, or some weird sort of creature sound that comes in or something. It doesn't sound, it's very, very grounded, like you're actually in the woods hearing somebody screaming off in the distance. And that can be frightening. And that's what was one of the big pluses to this movie, why it felt so real, why it still holds up to that. I think weren't these guys already fishing there or something? Isn't that the story? And they asked if they wanted to be in the film or something like that. I can't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
I've seen a lot of behind the scenes on this. I don't remember.
I could be wrong.
I know they're in a state park. I know that's where they're filming. I know it sucked for them,
Yeah.
like they've talked about how much like they were pretty much wet the entire time filming filming this movie, and not the kind of wet I'm sure Heather wanted to be, but like soaking wet, literally.
Yeah.
Like their boots were just constantly filled with water, and just
Yeah.
that's harsh environments to be in, and you're basically, and of course this is back in the day when they had satellite phones, to kind of, or like old school GPS to kind of guide them around the park. And they literally were just, following notepads of where they had to go and all this stuff like that. The reaction to the house is genuine because they had no freaking clue where, about the house. So that's cool that the productions crew behind this kept a lot of that stuff secretive. And basically they were there, they knew every night they were going to be screwed with. They just didn't know how they were going to be screwed with.
Well, and what helps too is that there was a script, but it was more of a
improv script.
Yeah, it was more of, here's what I need you to do. Here's what
directional script.
Right. Yeah. Right. Here's what I need you to do. Have fun with it. Play with it. Do some improv, do some stuff, make it feel real. But there wasn't sort of like a beat by beat thing that they had to nail in terms of dialogue. Well, there were certain things in terms of the dialogue that were important. I need you to, I need you to get this across. I need you to make sure that you get this.
But urgency it was very, of this scene,
right,
whatever.
But it was very. They had a lot of creative freedom to make it their own. Yep. To do this, because the directors. Director of this were not there with them. I don't think they were there. I think they were looking at the footage after the fact. Am I not right on that?
Well, they were there at night, screwing with them.
Right.
Okay.
And
they were leaving them notes. So when they would wake up, they would see like you just described, this is what we need shot today.
Right.
This is what we're looking for. This is what the type of reaction we need from you guys. And
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think for the three of them, I think the chemistry worked well between them. I believe that Josh and Heather knew each other beforehand in the story world of this.
Right.
And that Mike was, a new kid, coming into this little group. And the way they, even when they get like angry with each other, I mean, it really felt believable. You know what I mean? Like the shit was like, and that goes to show you how they were able to get there with it as actors. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Actors.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, and like their characters, each of them like does something stupid, or has a reason like for them to be upset at one another.
Right. It's properly motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It. Right. Yep. It is. It is. I should bust out. I don't know if it was intentionally inspired by this or not, but I have a home movie that I shot when I was like 22 or something, 23 maybe. I used to live in a town north of Toronto called Georgetown, and this is when I was like, what was this, 2001 or 2 or something? And I remember when there's this old mill back where I used to live. It's old abandoned mill. And I went down there with my high 8 camcorder and shot myself pretending to be on like an excursion like this. And I put it together. It actually turned out really well. I added some creepy stuff in there.
A buddy of it.
I'd have to digitize it. I'd have to digitize it. It's still on VHS, probably packed away under my stairs. But I should. It was me, and I was in the first like 15 minutes, and then my buddy Joe Bernard, I don't know if he's watching, but he came on board, and we were out there alone, and it was fun. We did, and then at the end of the movie we get attacked by like this creature and stuff, and it was good. It was good fun. That's like 20 something years ago now. And it looked like this because it was, shot on a video camera. They were using
you could do a movie like this today.
Sure, you could.
Sure, you could. You have to put him in a an isolated situation like this where you take away anything modern. You know what I mean? Take away modern technology and set it in the. It's very easy to stylize someone to outfits of the 90s. just go to any store today, they still sell that stuff. And you can get away with it. You know what I mean?
Well, and another reason why this works too is because these three look like, not to say that, no, but you know, but you'll get what I mean when I say this. They all look like real people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They don't look dolled up and makeup and can we get some powder here, please?
I gotta say, Heather, like she hot. Heather's definitely she's got a sex appeal to her.
Oh, I'm not suggesting she's not attractive. I'm not suggesting any of them are not.
I think she's from New England, my neck of the woods of the United States, which I think that's why she's up in Maine now.
What?
She's just got this New England persona about her, which is it's just a sex appeal to New England women.
Well, when I say they look like real people, I just mean that I don't mean that I'm not suggesting that none of them are not attractive. I just mean that they look like they don't have makeup on. They got the hair up. They got the boots on. They're out there, and you know what I mean. They're not pretty, right? Not pretty in that sense. Is what I'm talking about.
Now that you say that, juxtaposed to the 2016 film, the girls in that film, it looked like makeup.
Well,
you know
of
what I mean?
course,
like they're supposed to look like they're going through hell, but it looks like makeup hell. You know what I'm talking about? Whereas like the kids in here, or young adults, teen, college kids, whatever, like you said, Dave, it looks more authentic. It looks more real. Like Heather doesn't look like she's wearing any makeup.
Well, she probably isn't. She probably isn't. None of them are. I guarantee you that I'd put money on it that none of them are.
Whereas the main girl who gets to the end of the Blair Witch, her mascara is like running freaking crazy on her eyes by the end of the film. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what?
Well, that's okay.
Now that you say that, Dave, it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Because most girls, if you're camping out in the woods for a long period of time, you're not wearing makeup.
No.
You're not wearing makeup. I mean, one, you don't want to wear makeup because you're going to attract animals, because they're going to smell the scent. So you're going to do everything you can to hide the scent to make sure you keep, bears and whatever, because, they're in Maryland and they're bears in Maryland.
Well, and also too, is that these three people were literally nobodies. It's not the Blair Witch Project starring, Jennifer Love Hewitt. You know what I mean? It's not, they're literally nobodies. So you're not caught up in the oh, this is, Matthew McConaughey or, whoever, right?
Well, it'd be like if me, you, and a girl decide to go out and do something like this. We're not going to be getting dolled up. We're going to look pretty much like this for 5 straight days in the woods.
It's like in sitcoms when you see people go to bed and they have their makeup on. Their hair is all done nicely, lipstick, eyeshadow, they're lying there in bed. Like, nobody goes to bed like that.
No,
I mean, there's reasons why that's done, but no, it's very authentic. Yeah, it's fine.
And they're smoking too. You don't see that most in a lot of modern movies. You know what I mean?
No, smoking is it's being sort of weaned out.
Which is, hey, it's fine. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. But if you look at older movies and juxtapose it to today, I mean, I'm not saying it's totally gone, but you don't see it as often.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I never picked up on that.
What other found footage movies, Knightly, have you seen that you quite like?
So I like Unfriended. I thought Unfriended, like if we're counting that,
it's like a cousin to found footage. That's what I think, Dave. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if this is unpopular opinion, but I did like the Unfriended Dark Web, the
sequel. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, in some ways I think I like it better than the first, but I saw it before the original, and I guess, I don't know, I was a bit younger, and it's over sensationalized, and it is not that realistic, but it did freak me out when I saw it, because I did see that one in the theater.
Gotcha.
And,
okay.
Just the whole concept of like the dark web, I just think is creepy to think about.
Now you're big on horror. So what would be your favorite horror movie you've seen so far in the movie theater?
In the movie theater.
A great horror experience.
Well, to be honest, there really hasn't been that many good ones.
That is true. That is true. It's tough pickings.
Yeah, I really liked Lee Winnell's The Invisible Man.
That was good.
Yeah.
I didn't see that in theaters, but I did finally see that. That was good. The recent one here.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was good.
I really liked that.
I watch very few movies, very few horror movies can make me like literally my mouth drop and go, oh, I didn't, what? Like, I don't mean an internal in your brain. What? I mean, like literally, physically, if you were to look at me, my mouth would go, oh, like this. And it happened in that movie. And I didn't see it coming. That's during the dinner scene when I was like, ah, I was like, what? I was like, that's amazing. Exactly. Did not see that coming.
The first Conjuring did that for me as well too. When I saw that for the first time, it made me jump, and I enjoyed it. That's probably still my favorite modern horror movie that I've seen in theaters.
Yeah. I saw that in the theater too.
I really had a good time with Halloween 2018. And the reason for that is because I avoided everything for that movie. Avoided all the trailers, literally everything. All I knew was that it was a direct sequel and they weren't brother and sister. So I had just the best time with that. And like the closet scene got me because I did not see the trailer. So
amazing. That's really cool. That's really awesome. That's really awesome. So you really had a genuine, you were like, wow, like you knew nothing. So everything was a surprise. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was a really fun night.
Yeah. In case you're just joining us here, we are we're rolling on through
the campfire scene.
The campfire scene. Ah, yes. Ooh, super chat comes in from Booster Seat, and he sends in $2. Says thoughts on fuzz on the lens. Are they nice? Fuzz on the lens. Are they? I know who they're talking. No, I know who they're talking about. Sean Levy and his brother Michael Levy, I think. No, Sean Levy, Sean and Michael. Is that who it is? I think so. I'm drawing a blank. Do you mean Fuzz on the Lens Productions? I think they're nice guys. I've never had any issues with them. They seem like really nice guys. I met. I think it was it Michael? I think it was Michael or Sean. Is it Sean Levy? One of them's Mike. Anyways, I met one of them. I think it's Michael at the 40th anniversary convention. Really nice guy. Really awesome dude. So I think that's who you're talking about. Yeah, I don't. That's a weird question to ask. That just seems so weird. Like it's so out in left field. Thoughts on Fuzz on the Lens? Are they nice? Well, I guess. Random. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, really random. Like it's really, really random. He's involved right now with a movie. He's Indiegogo funded. They've done really well. I think it's called Stream, STREAM, Stream. It's like a high tech kind of thing and horror movie, which looks really cool. It's got Danielle Harris in it and a couple other horror alums. So they've done really well. Wow. Yeah, it's so random.
Oh, so this is when they first hear. I think it's the rocks that they're throwing. See, like that stuff. Like, okay, gotta remember, if you're in the state of mind frame of paranoia, smoke too much weed, this is gonna bug you out because you don't know what the hell's going on. All I'm hearing in the theaters is rocks being what sounds like rocks and creepy sounds, but you can't see it. And you know what? Like, if you were a kid, I don't know where you grew up, Dave, but in like my area where I grew up in this area. In Connecticut, again, like I said, a lot of woods. And at night, we would cut through woods to get to our house.
Right.
And at night, when you're a kid, you tend to move along a little bit faster in the woods because noises kind of tend to freak you out. Yeah. And I think that's what they did so well with this movie here is playing on that creepy noise in the woods late at night. You don't know what it is. And it feels very real, that's where the 2016 film failed miserably because they relied on that stupid sound design. You know what I mean?
Well, I saw this movie, same in the theater. It was at night. And after I walked home with some friends, and walking home from where the theater was to where I lived was about an hour walk. And thankfully, though, it was more of an urban area, but it was still like we caught like a late show at because at that time, they don't really do this anymore. But in the 90s, movie theaters were changing, and they were changing from the old school movie theaters to more of the multiplex, cineplex, Coliseum type buildings we have now with stadium style seating and, the big, all that with like gigantic 60-foot screens. And at that time, I don't know if it was like in the States, but up here, because it was so new and crazy and it was only like a few years old at that time, these types of theaters, I remember that they would play movies at like 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, midnight. Like sometimes they would start movies at midnight. Now they don't really do that maybe they do that for like special occasions, but if I check like, the theaters now, I can go to like a 7 show and like a 9 show or maybe a 10 show. Like your 10 show is like your late thing, right?
Yeah.
But back in the 90s, because it was so new and everybody was just piling in, I think we caught like a midnight showing of the Blair Witch Project. I kid you not.
Wow.
And when it was over and we were walking home, it was an urban area, but it was like, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was like there wasn't really that many people around. And, we're walking and you're walking over the bridge, over the highway and stuff. And you're like, do. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
It was kind of creepy. It was really weird.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, even some of these abandoned places that I've photographed and have been in, when you hear strange noises, you're just like, all right, what the hell is that? You know? And, 9 out of 10 times is probably an animal, but, I don't know, theater of the mind, you don't see it. And you're like, what the hell?
Heather, Josh, and Sean, is it? Heather, Josh, and Sean? No, Mike.
No, Mike.
It's Mike.
Yeah.
Mike. That's right. Mike. Booster Seat follows up with another super chat, $2. Thanks, buddy. Says, saw Blair Witch 2016 with my dad. He fell asleep.
Wow, with all the freaking noise in that movie.
I remember my dad
overkill of the sound design.
My dad used to take me to see movies in the 80s and he would often fall asleep. I remember my dad took me to see the first Ninja Turtles movie in 1990, and he fell asleep during that. I think he even fell asleep during Godzilla 1985. I was like, all right, well, whatever. It used to bother me too. Even as a kid, it used to bother me. Because you get excited when people you're with watch what you are excited about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you've seen the movie already.
Man, you should shoot.
Yeah, I mean, sorry.
No.
I watched the original Black Christmas. Like I'd already seen it, but I wanted to show it to my friends, and so I had like 4 buddies over, and I think like 3 of them fell asleep.
Yeah, it's one of those. See, that's tough, especially the younger you get, as the generations pass, because Black Christmas. I mean, there are people even our age that think it's. You know what I mean? I mean, there are. I think it's fantastic, but I am very aware that it's the kind of movie that you either think is. I mean, it's not like fantastic. It's not like oh my god. But I mean, I think it's really cool. Like it's awesome, right? And it's got some really cool moments and things like that. And I really like the movie. But certainly, it is a polarizing film in the sense of that. I don't really find a happy medium with that movie. You either really appreciate it for what it is and enjoy it and like the creepiness and the eeriness and the piano strings and Billy, or you just think it's one big snooze fest.
Blair Witch is like that. I mean, honestly, either
that's true too.
You can have people like love it, like I love it, and like Knightly loves it.
Yeah.
And you're kind of on the, you enjoy it. You don't love it.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where people are just like, no, they don't care about this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think that comes as again. I mean,
the
it's
sound designs in this is amazing.
It's fantastic.
It's so it's subtle and just so. They nailed it. Like they just like perfect.
I would like to know. I would love to know.
This is your format right here. If you want to do a movie like this, just follow this format.
Now, maybe it's in the documentary. I don't know, but I would love to know how much, if any, sound was done in post, or if it was all on location from the microphone. On the cameras now, because right. Because now remember when I say it
I know
sounds,
what you're saying.
Yeah. When I say something like it sounds overly produced and like it was mixed in a studio, that doesn't mean you cannot mix sounds in a studio that sound like they're in that environment. You absolutely can do that. They do that all the time. When I say it sounds like it's overly produced, it sounds like it's not coming from the environment. It sounds like it's it's
coming from the cameras.
Well, no, I mean like the other way. If I say it sounds overly produced, it sounds like it's not coming from the environment, like it was a sound effect that was added in that wasn't mixed properly, wasn't EQ'd, wasn't, there's a lot of things I could go into, but with this, they have microphones on the camera and they have microphones. So I'm curious on how much Foley was captured actually on location, and then
because it sounds like it's coming from the cameras.
Right. And just so when you hear like a knocking in the distance, the camera, the mic that picks that up from the distance is what they captured on location.
Well, Mike had the sound with him.
He did.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if that was the sound he picked himself.
It could very well have been. Very well have been, because
that's a good question. No one's ever asked them that before, because I've seen them at cons, and that'd be a good question to ask them. Like, hey, how did you guys nail the sound design on this? What was it from Mike's mic? No pun, but you know what I mean. Because also he was instructed to record because this is what was going to happen at night, to make sure you have the mic out. This is what we need, and make sure you get the sound.
Well, right, because you also have to remember too that Mike is playing the sound guy. Exactly. He might not be a sound guy. He's playing a sound guy. So it depends on how much, control does he know what to do, where to point the mic, how to pick up sound. I mean, it's an art in and of itself. When we hired Adrian Ancona to be our sound recordist and boom operator, I mean, he's a professional.
His name sounds like a sound guy.
Yeah. Adrian Ancona.
Like
he's awesome. He's awesome. And he was
sounds like an Oscar-winning sound guy in the making.
Adrian Ancona.
Has that name,
He's got that name. But he's fantastic. And he knew exactly what. Now, again, that's different. He's not playing sort of that kind of a sound guy, but to that degree. But yeah, I would just be curious on how much of the Foley they captured on location. All the Foley they captured on location, is that the soundtrack, right? Is that the soundtrack for the film, or was there things that they added in post to complement it? I'd be very curious as a sound person myself.
You should do almost, I don't know, because it would change the way you did it. You'd almost have had to have done it the first way like this. I was gonna say you should do like your It's Me Billy sequel done in a style like this. That would be change. It would be changing the entire. I know it would change the whole look of everything.
Well, and I'd have to
justify. Therefore, you should do a movie like this.
I would. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I'd have to justify why all of a sudden maybe Sam.
It's changing. Yeah,
Sam turns around and sees an old dusty camcorder in the basement, and she's like, "What's this?" It turns on. And she's like, Grandma, is that you? And now the whole movie's through that.
Also makes this good is like Josh not perfectly framing the shots.
That's right.
Like Heather's like cut off at some points.
That's
Mike's
right.
Cut off. Like these are like little things
yes.
that make it where if you watch the 26, like see Heather's face is like cut off here a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now he's like fixing it.
That's right.
In the 2016 film,
well, the horizon line is off and everything.
Right. Where in the 2016 film, everything is perfect. And that, again, if you're going on the found footage thing, there's moments like this where they're arguing. He's not going to be worried about how perfect the shot is. You know what I mean?
No. It's true.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yep. Well, yeah. It's gritty. It's guerrilla filmmaking. I mean, you're just out there pointing and shooting, you know? And part of the direction could have been, don't be so clean with your shots. Be a little dirty. That's sometimes you hear that. Don't be afraid to be a little dirty. It doesn't mean dirty in that way, folks. It just means not clean. Yep. Just point and shoot and hold it by your chest. Don't look through the viewfinder. Just hold it by your chest and point and shoot and see I mean, obviously you have to make sure that you are not getting that you're not getting people in frame, or you have to go out and reshoot it. But not be afraid to do that.
For a good few months after we saw this film, me and my friends, we would, because you got to remember now, this is before GPS. We had to rely on maps. Mm-hmm. So we did it on various occasions, but the one I know definitively It was pretty much the same group of people. We went up to your neck of the woods. We went up to Quebec for the millennium because we could drink up there because it was 18 to drink in Quebec back in 99 to 2000.
Still is.
Okay. So along the ride up to Canada, I'd be like, who's got the map? And then someone would just bust out, I gave you back the map.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, we were just for a good while there, if there was a map situation, we'd start rolling the Blair Witch dialogue. I gave you back the map.
That's great.
It's amazing how we managed to get around places without GPS, and we managed to get there without getting lost. Well, I find myself getting lost more today than I did back then.
And then MapQuest came along, and it was like, oh.
Yeah, I know.
Is MapQuest around still? Maybe it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I don't really use it much, but
no, I've got navigation in my car, and so I doesn't have to do it. I think most people do. I think it's kind of sort of a thing now. I remember when I got my first car that had a backup camera, and I was like, oh, I was like, this is amazing. And now it's like, this should be, I love it when you go to get a new car and they're like, do you want a backup camera? I'm like, shouldn't it just be like, everybody should just have a, yes, I do. Do you want navigation? Yes. Of course. I mean, I get it, right? You can play with, different price points and things like that and make people, but there are just certain things that kind of feels like it just should be, everywhere now.
Not me. I want an old school car. I really do.
Yeah.
Something like from the 60s, late 60s.
An Edsel.
Early 70s.
Get a 1940s Ford.
Nah, that's a little too old. Late 60s, early 70s, I wouldn't mind somewhere in that. Whether it might be a pickup or, I don't know, maybe a muscle car. But I kind of got that, so pickup would make more sense.
Look at this. Oh, we're trying to do, well, fine, we're going to get left at. And this movie is only like 82 minutes long.
Short, sweet, right to the point.
Yeah. Do you think they'll make another one?
And this was very real, where they're talking about their wet shoes.
I bet.
So when you hear them talking about how just soaked, just imagine that being stuck for a week out in the woods. You're making this low budget film. You're an up and coming person in the industry, and you're stuck with soaked shoes.
That's it.
I give all three of them credit. Yeah. So that's genuine reaction from them, which I think makes it even more believable.
For sure. Do you think they'll make another one, Knightly?
Probably not.
No.
Unfortunately.
Would you want to see another one, or do you think it's kind of like, nah, it's run its course?
I think it would be cool to see another one. They came out with a video game a couple years ago, a Blair Witch.
I didn't know that.
Game.
Really?
Yeah.
For what system?
I think for all of them. It was originally an Xbox exclusive, but now I have it on my PlayStation.
Oh, I have a PS4. Would it be available on PS4?
Yeah, it's available. It's very psychological.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Man, Heather freaking out at this point too is like,
yeah.
Again, it's believable. Their argument is it doesn't look
chaos.
Yeah.
I'm not trying.
Well, because they don't know where they are.
Right. And I'm not trying to nitpick it, comparing it to the 2016 film, but their arguments in that film seemed very staged and very acted. Whereas this going on right now, this dramatic moment, it seems fucking legitimate real.
Yeah.
And Mike going after her, pointing the camera at him.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And when you have all of these things working for you, the production value, like right now, the camera pointed at the ground, right? Pointed at the ground, pointing at his chest, looking at that's what it
in the moment.
Right. Very candid, very realistic. 100%. Happy Sanjo sends in $5, says, I agree with Knightly about Unfriended Dark Web being a good movie, and it's my favorite of the two. Blair Witch Game is fun. Timestamps, guys? Yeah, we are at
I think we're at different points, but relatively close.
Yeah, well, because I'm watching on Netflix, it's counting down. So it says I have about 38 minutes and 45 seconds left.
On iTunes, I'm at 42, 22, 23, 24.
There you go. So about 40 something minutes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 38. Yeah, about 38 minutes left, 39 minutes left.
Did you see Host Nightly?
I did see Host.
I know we got to watch that. That's like a short, talk about short and sweet. It's like 50 minutes long.
I haven't seen it yet. I got to watch it.
See, yes, this is when they find, so Mike's the one who finds it. See what I mean? So did you see the new one when the stick figures were introduced to them around the camp? It was just so over the top.
It was.
This is so subtle. Like it's subtle, but perfect. You know what I mean? And it's just fucking creepy. Like in the middle of the woods, they find this, and I know that they did this to them on purpose. Like the three of them had no clue that they were going to stumble upon this. They were just told, you got to walk in a direction. And Mike finding it was a genuine reaction. Like, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean? And you hear it, and now they're filming it, and it just, I don't know. When you juxtapose it again, not to compare it, but when you compare it to the 2016 film, it was just like I couldn't even see half of it because there was so much. They inundated the campsite with all these stick figures that I had to like pause it to, in the rewatch to see like, well, what did I miss? Because there was so much. Whereas here, there's so little that the three of them, or really Heather and Josh, are able to capture everything on the black and which I think the black and white looks better, and then a little bit on the color. Right.
I gotcha. Super chat from Mr. Cody Leach sends in a super chat. Good to see Cody in here. He says, BWP. I was like, what the hell does that mean? Blair Witch Project is the one and only celebrated classic that I genuinely hate. I'm jealous of everyone that got to see it thinking it may be real footage. Fascinating. Thanks for chiming in, Cody. Appreciate that. He hates the Blair Witch Project. Ladies and gentlemen, my goodness, and we can still be friends. It's a hell of a world, isn't it? A hell of a world.
That's Cody, because I'm going to tell you.
No, it actually is. It actually is. I know there was one. Yeah, there was one earlier. There was a Cody bot that came in that.
Because there's no wrench after the name. I didn't see that. That's why.
Oh well, I think it's because they're sending in a super chat, and but when I go to the chat,
I thought the mods you still see that.
I don't
if they send it.
Well, when I go to his channel, it is his channel.
Okay. All right.
So that's why I'm.
Yeah, because there was someone in here faking him in drum dums.
Oh, it happens all the time. It happens from just they get a kick out of it for whatever reason.
That's okay, Cody. I hate child's play. So
yeah. Shots fired, ladies and gentlemen. Shots have been fired.
I hate that.
Oh my God. That's funny. But you know what? Sometimes that happens though, right?
In the middle for Chucky.
You're in the middle for Chucky. I like the first two Child's Play, but after that I'm just like I don't know. I still haven't watched the series. I know I gotta watch the series. I gotta watch it.
Little orange hair freak through the uprights like the Bengals did to the Chiefs yesterday. Okay, that's what I want to do.
That's funny.
I think Curse of Chucky is really good because it or at least really good compared to Bride and Seed, because it goes back to the horror roots and
I gotcha.
Without giving anything away, you got a girl in a wheelchair and it's in this big mansion, kind of like It's Me, Billy, and it's got some really good moments in it.
Cool, very cool. Are we in the tent?
Oh yeah, when they hear the kids,
right?
And then they shake the tent. God, that shit would suck. Honestly, if I was in the middle of that, I'd be like, "What the fuck?"
So they hear children. They hear kids.
Yeah, it sounded like little kids. I think that was played on a boombox.
Okay.
From what they said. Oh yeah, and this is when she runs out. What the fuck is this? And I'm like, yeah, what the fuck is that? I didn't see it. Yeah.
But you see, that works when you
sees it. But she actually, when they filmed this, it didn't pick up on camera. There is someone there. It works so much better not seeing it. But there was. She says that there was someone there at the convention she was at.
Okay.
They asked her about that scene.
Okay.
There was someone there in white or something, but they couldn't get it on camera. And so when she's screaming, she does see something. That's a genuine reaction. We just don't see it, but I think it works so much fucking better not to see it.
Yeah,
It
I
does.
didn't know that. I agree. It works a lot better.
Yeah, it does. I agree too.
I was tripping out at this point. I mean, I hardcore, like I went to full, like my heart was like.
Well, Tony was in convulsions. I mean, the ushers came in. The ushers came in. You were in your seat.
I'm freaked out.
No, but you were in your seat. The ushers came in. You're in your seat going, and you're frothing at the mouth.
I was in my seat in the fetal position, freaking out.
You were, yes, in the fetal position, in the seat, frothing at the mouth, going, when is it over? When is it over? Can you imagine? Geeked Out Turtle Fan 41 sends in $5, says, it's interesting to see the evolution of paranormal horror films from Amityville Horror to Poltergeist to Paranormal Activity. Yeah, I guess so. They're different subgenres though, right? Like the Amityville Horror is a live action narrative sort of piece, which the others are as well. But Paranormal Activity is the I classify found footage a different subgenre. Yeah. Of horror, whereas Poltergeist and Amityville would be more. Well, they're both narratives, but one is found footage, and the other two aren't. But yeah, no, and horror will continue to evolve. It's one of the it's one of the genres that will continue to evolve as sci-fi will too.
You hope it does.
Yeah,
I just hope it doesn't evolve to what we're. Look, I'm looking at Chainsaw Massacre as fun. It might have some cringy moments, like the line there, you're gonna get canceled or something. I was just like, really? Like what?
I know.
Come on, man. Like I understand that this is the world we live in, but like I don't need to see a bus full of kids holding up their cell phones trying to take a pic. I mean, maybe that's a shot, at maybe they're making
and let's be honest.
Of this
But true, but let's be honest, a bus full of kids would not take the time to hold up their phones. And it's totally not realistic. You'd be freaking out just him stepping onto the bus with a chainsaw.
I sort of get what they're doing, meaning like if they're taking a shot at people who spend too much time on their phones doing stupid shit like that.
Right.
But you don't need it in a Chainsaw Massacre movie. So I'm hoping that might be like the one meta moment of the film, but a lot of the trailer did seem enjoyable, meaning like it seems like it would be like a fun ride.
Well, it's going to be entertaining.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping for.
It's going to be entertaining. Just doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Yeah.
It might be.
True.
It might be. I mean,
it's a big might. Oh, he's going to have to start a Kickstarter and make one of his own down here in Georgia. I've got the landscape for it. Got plenty of houses too that are empty.
I hate crossing streams. Crossing the streams. Don't cross the streams. Ghostbusters.
They crossed a lot of streams. They're crossing the streams a lot in this movie.
And what's great about this too is it's all natural lighting. So they're not out there with, key lights and fillers and with generators and stuff. It's just if something is blown out, it's blown out.
Like her face here.
Like her face.
Right.
Her face is blown out. And that's because they haven't adjusted the
whereas in the
shutter
again,
and
the new film, that's what they did. Everything looked, the lighting was perfect.
Of course.
You did, like even here, Mike, you got hard shadow under his eyes.
Yep.
Half of his face is,
because that's what it would look like when you're just pointing and shooting. It's point and shoot.
Point and shoot, baby. Guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah, not worrying about the exposure or again, was this shot on 16? It wasn't high 8, right? It wasn't like some of it was camcorder.
You had Heather's high 8, I think.
Right.
Was the camcorder.
Right.
What she's filming on right now, and then Mike's 16.
Mike's 16.
I'm not Mike. Josh.
Josh is 16. So this is a camcorder then. So is this a high 8 camcorder?
Yeah, it's got to be for the time.
Fuck.
And then you had Mike's black and white 16.
Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, in the high 8 camcorder, you wouldn't.
You never go camping.
You didn't have that kind of control. Well, you could adjust, you could use white balance. You could totally white balance the film. You could adjust that, but you didn't have like a lot of control on a high 8 camcorder. That's for sure.
What? We should do a live watch party of the Chainsaw movie, since it's going to be on Netflix.
Ooh.
We'll watch it for the first time together. That almost would be fun to do. That would be fun to do.
That
would
might
be
be.
fun
That might be.
for you guys.
Movie Chat and More Part 2 says, "Hey guys, hey Knightly, can I ask your opinion on something, please? What year would you say the OG?" Richard, let it go, buddy. Let it go. It's over.
I don't think it's him.
You don't think it's him? No, it is him. It is him. It's his other channel. Let it go, Richard. Let it go. You're welcome here, but it's unnecessary to bring up an old and
What's
put
that
salt
song-
into
what's
old
that song
wounds.
from that cartoon movie that was popular? Let It Go. Wasn't there a song?
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
Let it go, bro.
Let it go.
Let it go. It was set in 1842.
It was set in no, it wasn't. It was 1854. I'm telling you right now, you son of a. I love this though. Like I love the way that, and because now it's cloudy and it looks like it's going to rain and everything's. It's great. It's great stuff.
All right, here's a pitch.
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Knightley's on it.
We have another found footage
Yep.
horror film,
Okay.
but it's like, it's done really well, and it's about Slender Man.
Ooh.
Didn't they do something recently?
Well,
with
they
the
did.
Slender Man?
They
that was
did.
dog shit.
It was, but it wasn't found footage though.
Yeah.
Now, Knightly, Slender Man. Give me a brief backstory on it, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's the tall, like skinny dude, right?
Yeah.
And do they have to call his name like Bloody Mary, and he shows up? Is that how that works?
No, he's just
Okay.
kind of there in the woods, and like if you go by like the video games, you have to find pages in the woods.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how does he show? He's just there then. You don't have to call his name out or anything.
Like in the new movie, they're like, I think I only saw it once. Never had no interest in seeing it again. But I think it was like a tape or something. Like
Now, is the Slender Man based on a lore like Bloody Mary is?
Yeah. Well, did you hear about the Knightly? I'm sure knows this about that little girl. When I say little, well, yeah, I guess she was what, like 13 or 14 or something. That was lured. Is this the one that she was lured out into the woods by her friends or something? Is that the Slender Man one? And her friends tried to kill her. Her friends stabbed her. I'm not fucking kidding. Her friends stabbed her, left her for dead. Is that not true? It
was like
because
20 times.
Yeah, because they believed that the Slender Man wanted them to.
Yeah.
Insane!
What?
There's Dateline and 48-hour episodes on that shit.
I need to go watch that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Those are girls you definitely do not want to date.
You do not. And the girl survived. She survived.
Yeah,
well, that's good.
Thankfully. And the other two,
so they were saying, you're saying the girls who did the stabbing said that this Slender Man told these two girls to take this other girl out to the woods and stab her.
I don't know if it was being told, but it was something like they needed to do this in order to. I got to watch it again. Maybe the chat room knows, but it's
like
some sacrifice or something. Yeah. It's just crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Nuts.
She was 12. There you go. Brooke Louie says they stabbed her and left her for dead. She was 12. It was unreal. Now, I believe her quote unquote friends. I don't know if they were tried as adults or not, but I think they obviously they were found guilty and sentenced to something. I forget what it was though. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. You don't necessarily have to tell that story, but certainly, no,
not that story.
There was opportunity with Slender Man, and like most horror movies, they rush to production because they want to capitalize on when something is really, hot, and they just turned it into just a kids horror movie. Not a kids horror movie, but you know what I mean.
I don't get it, man.
It basically was a kids horror movie.
Yeah.
I saw it in the theater with my dad. Was completely unimpressed.
Knightly, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
18.
And when did you start watching horror movies?
When I was, I think, about 13.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought you were gonna say when I was 2.
What now? Well,
because
it's weird because like Dave and I basically grew up on this stuff as kids. Literally, we were kids watching this stuff.
Yeah, I was I was a fetus. I mean, no.
I never, and I don't think my parents ever. And my dad was a little bit more stricter than my mom. Because my dad was like,
she's breaking down here. Sorry to interrupt. She's breaking down.
Yeah, she's breaking down really good.
Yeah, she is.
She's selling it really good.
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah.
he was more on the hardcore Christian side, like Bible thumping, like would not let me watch this stuff. Mom was more like, keep an eye on it, and if you start doing crazy shit, I'm going to pull the plug on it. And for me, for whatever reason, I never took any of this stuff real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I always knew in the back of my mind, it was just entertainment. So much so that, like, me and my brother, you know, I remember us, you know, being 10 and he was 6. We were reenacting on my grandfather's pickup truck the ending scene of Halloween 4, of Michael on top of the truck and pulling, and he would be driving the truck like Rachel and whatnot. Like, we would just have fun with it. We never took it to that level. But like, I hear stories like what you just told me, but that seems to be more and more common nowadays with young kids, young teenagers, where they're just, you know, they can't separate the fantasy from reality. Sometimes.
Some can't. Oh, and you mean the two girls that got?
And I'm not saying you didn't hear crazy shit back in the day when we were younger. Of course you did. Yeah. But not like it seems to be more common today than it was back then.
Right. You know I gotcha. I mean? What do you remember the first horror movie you ever watched, Knightly?
Like, so I saw a few like black and white ones when I was like a lot younger, I think, than 13, but I don't really remember them that much. So I give credit to the original Friday the 13th as the first like horror movie, because I was like, you know, I'd been really wanting to get into it because the game came out. It was around that time, and I'd never seen any of the movies. Right. And so,
is that the Dead by Daylight game that's popular?
No, there's a Friday the 13th game where you can play as the Jasons from each of the installments.
Yeah, I played it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's all right.
And And so we just that was I give credit to that as the first one, and I remember my dad and I binged like the whole series over the next like couple weeks or so.
The entire Friday the 13th series?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We had our ups, we had our downs.
Yeah. Well, it was good until. That's funny.
Yeah. But it was funny though, because after that we moved on to Halloween, and my dad didn't know, but he told me that that Halloween was a ripoff of Friday the 13th. And so when we watched Halloween,
wait a minute,
I was like, "Are you kidding me?" At first, I didn't like Halloween because it was the blatant ripoff of Friday the 13th.
Oh, you mean Friday? But Halloween came before Friday the 13th.
I know. But I didn't know that at the time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
My dad got confused and told me it was the other way around.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but now Halloween's my favorite horror movie.
Right.
I understand like the impact and everything.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
I think Dave, ours was Nightmare, right?
I think because the first horror movie I saw was probably the first, it might have been the first Elm Street, but it might have been one of the early Friday the 13th movies. It might have been that, but I think I was introduced to Freddy and Jason before Michael Myers.
Same. Mine was Freddy, then Jason. Mine was Freddy, Leatherface, then Jason. Because the original Chainsaw Massacre, that was the first VHS tape I ever bought. I had no clue what it was. I just thought the cover looked really cool. That was it. I was just like, wow, this looks really cool. I'm buying it. Didn't no clue what it was.
Gotcha.
So then then Michael was at the end.
Knightly, what's the poster? The first poster there behind you over your right shoulder.
Oh yeah. So that's for Hearts of Darkness, which is a documentary on Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, very cool.
Okay, I've never even heard of it. Is that on YouTube?
No, it's not out yet. It's still they're still working on it.
Okay. Is there anything on YouTube, like a teaser trailer or something, or no, not yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I can tell.
I'm jealous though, because you got a It's Me Billy poster, and I'm still waiting for mine.
I know. I gotta get Tony It's Me Billy poster. But I did send you your Blu-ray.
There's literally an empty spot like that's been sitting there for like a year, and it's like dry, and like my OCD is.
I'm getting to it.
I need to fill it with something.
I'm getting to it. I sent out more Blu-rays today, so.
Who knows, Tony? Maybe you'll get a signed one.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Maybe you will. But you know what? What was I going to say? I forgot I was going to say. It was on the tip of my tongue. Damn it. Don't you hate when that happens?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
this is
Are
when
we
you're
at the
hearing
scene?
Josh scream.
Here's the
Yeah,
scene. This is it. Yeah, this is the
This was so
classic
well
Blair Witch
done.
scene.
Yes,
You know.
his scream, honestly, is one of the most eeriest screams in all of horror because it sounds like he's going through hell.
Yeah, it does. It sounds awful. I'm gonna actually turn this up for the
Same here. I'm turning
for the
it up.
audience here. Our audience will be able to hear this a little bit.
I just remember being freaked out watching this scene and just like, even to this day, it still gets under my skin because it's just so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's just, you never know. You never know what happened. And I think that's just, it just left your
It's not
imagination.
necessary.
Yeah.
No, if they showed us that, it would suck.
Yeah.
The theater of the mind here is so important because his screams are just so like I said, it's one of the creepiest get under my skin screams in all of horror because he like I said, he just sounds like he's going through hell.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And see, you know, it doesn't mean that, you know, like, that's what I try to tell people too, right? Like both things can be true at the same time. You can sometimes, depending on the script and the story you're telling and the kind of movie it is, it does make sense to explain a lot of things and not have ambiguous endings and open things up. But sometimes, you know, ambiguous endings, not explaining anything, leaving it up to the audience to interpret, you know, is the best way to go. And it can be eerier that way and creepier and more real and feel more unsettling, you know, as you leave the theater, you know, you're thinking about it and what does it mean? What does that mean? All that kind of stuff. I really like that kind of stuff. And I'm perplexed why oh, not perplexed. I shouldn't say that. I mean, I know why, but it you know, I see it on Twitter or Facebook. So many people just need to know. Not everybody, but but there's so many people that just feel this need to know everything, and it's like, why? Why do you need? It ruins the mystique and the magic and the, you know, like, why do you need to know how the trick is done? Just let it go. And I don't know, man. Now Josh is the
other camera guy,
right?
Yeah,
not the he's the right.
Yeah, Mike's the sound guy.
Right.
Yeah. Mike's the guy we see at the end.
And Josh never came back.
No, he's
and you never know what happened to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
which is great.
You don't even ever see him again, do you?
Except this little inkling that's a piece of his shirt. This blood on her hands and all that, you know, that's all you see.
Yeah. But you don't ever know what happened. You don't know what happened to him, and you don't ever see him again.
Well, no, I'm sorry.
Do you see him again?
You hear him again when they get to the house. That's right.
Oh, do you? Okay, so it's almost like echoes.
Because Mike's screaming, tell me where you are, man. Tell me where you are.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. And then she gets to and then she sees Mike standing in the corner. Looking at the corner.
Which is the best. I know they tried different endings.
There were different endings,
I've seen the different endings, and that to me is the best. Him standing in the corner is like, well, what the fuck?
Right.
It does come full circle to the stories they were told at the beginning of the kids standing in the corner, making them facing away from what the witch was going to do.
Right.
Or not the witch.
Like the
dude,
killer. Yeah,
the guy.
Right.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
God, what was that guy's name in this? Shit. The killer in this movie that they talked about at the beginning.
I forget.
I almost called him Chester Cobblepot, and I'm like, wait, no. That's
Chester Copperpot. Chester Copperpot. That's the Goonies. Chester Copperpot. Chester Copperpot. Josh! Josh! Is that Arnold Schwarzenegger? Come on.
Do it.
Did I miss any super chats? I don't think I did. Let me scroll back here.
I think there was one at the very beginning.
I think I got that. Got Geeked Out Turtle Fan.
Okay.
Got the Happy Sanjo. Got
Rustin
Booster
Parr. That was his name. Thanks, guys. Or thanks, Unimpressive Media.
Got
Rustin
Cody's. Parr. No, I think I got it all. Kenny525 says, Dave, that witch was mimicking Josh's voice. She had already ripped out Josh's tongue. Ooh.
Well, in 99, we didn't know that.
That's right.
You know, that I think that's what you're referring to. Like, you know, obviously later on you find out all the stories of what happened, but when you're watching it for the first time, you think it's Josh. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, this is good shit. And they're lost. I mean, they're lost. I don't know where to go. You know?
Yeah, it's just like, and even though you know it's fake, you still feel bad. You still like it feels so real.
Yeah, it does.
So genuine.
It does. Mike W. said, did anyone ever see The Last Broadcast? No, The Last Broadcast? Is that the name of a movie? I've never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, no.
The Last Broadcast. Is it The Last Broadcast?
You know what I did see, though, before we went live, well, about an hour before we went live, and I'm excited for, I had no idea that they were doing this, the new Ted Kaczynski movie with Charlito Copley. You know who that is?
No.
Playing Kaczynski. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
No, it's coming out in theaters and on demand on February 18th.
Okay.
Right around the same time when Chainsaw Massacre is coming out. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
There's a trailer for it?
The trailer's on YouTube. It's called, it's on IGN. It's called Ted K.
Okay.
I'll
look for it.
Really, anything Unabomber related, I'm like obsessed with. Like I'm in the middle of reading his manifesto right now, and I don't agree with what he did, but his theories and what he wrote in his manifesto regarding technology and how it would ruin society is pretty spot on.
Listen, some of the craziest people in the world, you know, they're still crazy.
They're still crazy
and they can still be awful people. It doesn't mean some of the things they don't say don't have truth to them.
Right.
You know,
and the shit he says in his manifesto about what society and what technology is going to do to our society back in, you know, when he was writing this, you know, I mean, he basically was prophesizing a lot of this stuff and what it was going to do. And it's pretty much done it. Everything he said has come to pass. And
that's cool. That's cool. I'll check that out. I'll have to check that out. Tell me you're not eating a dry leaf. I thought she said, tell me you're not eating a dry loaf. Loaf. Where did you get this? Oh, there it is. The famous low angle up the nose shot.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to apologize to Mike's mom and Josh's mom.
We're at the end. This is it.
Yeah. And my mom. I mean, you know, whoever would have thought that shot right there
would become iconic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Very iconic. Yeah.
Like,
you
I
know,
mean,
in the parodies that have been done from this.
Oh,
you know what I mean,
it's unreal. Nobody, can you imagine? You know, go down in history. I'm not as one of the most iconic. Whether you like the movie or not, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant whether you like the movie or not. Yeah. This shot has embedded itself into the pop culture zeitgeist, and it's there forever. It's like, you know, it's like I don't know, Michael Myers stand at the top of the. Well, not even that shot. That's a great shot, but not even that. It would be like, I don't know, man. Yeah, Michael.
Well, when you
looking over the balcony,
like this done, you know, like everyone's minds immediately go to Heather, Blair Witch. You know what I mean?
Right. Of course. It's the cover of the. Well, it's part of the cover of the. Part of the cover of the box and the poster and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you know.
Well, my VHS, I don't think is that. I think
No,
mine
no,
is
no.
just
It's just the forest.
Yeah, it's
sticks
the
and
forest.
stuff,
That's
yeah.
what my VHS is.
Yeah. But there were, I think there were posters.
There were though.
There were, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I love how she's just letting the snot flow and getting that. It's the way you got to do it.
Yeah.
Let your nose run. Let it be gross. Let it go. Get the tears going.
Looks genuinely terrified.
She does. Yes.
She really does. Like her eyes are just bugged out.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Now, the Blair Witch house, is it still there or is it no longer there?
Gone.
It's gone.
I've seen videos on YouTube of
because people.
Here's Josh again.
Okay.
This is it. This is the end. So
yeah, because people have. There's videos on YouTube, I think, of people who've been there before it was torn down, right?
Before it went down, there's videos, not many, there's videos of a couple people who have been there. And then
Right.
I think the foundation, some of the foundation might be still there.
Okay.
So.
And
Yeah,
one of the
this
things,
is the end where he's screaming and they run to the house. Yeah.
one of the things that I like about this ending is when the credits roll, there is nothing. There's that sound that.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, sound design or whatever. I don't know.
Whatever it is, just a little soundscape or whatever. But it leaves you. I love horror movies that, and it's not that there isn't justification for why you wouldn't do this, but I love films that the endings are so intense or so like, whoa, it's like, wow, like it's really like epic or, whatever it is. And the credits don't have some rock song that kicks in that takes you out of the moment. When I left the theater watching this, I take the movie with me. I feel the intensity still with me. I'm leaving. It's not broken up when it cuts to black by directed by. It's because then it takes you out of the moment. And
if they did that, it would ruin it. It would totally ruin it.
Yeah, and I really like films that let it breathe, allow their audience to sit with it. You know what I mean? And take the movie with them rather than leaving it there in the theater. The feeling that you feel, you know what I mean? Again, not every movie is, required to do that. Obviously it has to make sense, but there are some films where it'll have like this kind of a moment or an ending and then some other song kicks in. I'm just like,
I don't know if either of you have seen the new Resident Evil movies, but that was a big problem.
I haven't really,
There's like 5 scenes where there's just the oddest selection of music that just completely takes you out of the moment.
That's not good.
I mean, it wasn't even that great to begin with, but you had that, and it's just like,
right.
Nothing like going into a real creepy abandoned house in the middle of the woods.
Yeah. Oh, I've done it.
That's what I love about this. It's not, they didn't build this. This was a legitimate abandoned house.
Yeah, they just found it.
And
weren't there like little kids' handprints on the wall or something? Have I seen that yet? Did I miss it already?
For the movie.
No, they did. They did add it for the movie, but I have we seen it already?
No, I think it's coming up shortly.
Okay.
Because Heather goes upstairs and Mike goes downstairs.
No.
I'm sorry. They both go upstairs and then Mike goes running for Heather or downstairs because he hears Josh again.
Right.
Let's say Mike held on to the map. Do you think they actually would have made it out?
I'm going to say no, because the witch would not allow it. There it is. We're at the end here. It's coming up. Where is it? Josh. It's great stuff.
And it's creepy because
to take a shit.
You don't see him. You know what I mean?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't. There's the hands. Yeah. There's the hands. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, and you don't need to either.
You hear him. He sounds so close, but you don't see him, and that's so fucking great.
That's it.
I would love to know how they did that with the sound design. I really would.
Well, it sounds like it's just Foley that is recorded from the mic there,
but
the mic on the camera.
So realistic. It really does.
Well, yeah, because it sounds realistic because it is. It's actually from the environment. So there's no reason why it wouldn't. Yeah.
Mike!
Josh, is that you down there?
Yeah, I mean, it's so... Oh.
And Heather screams, man. Just, she's terrified.
Yeah, she is.
It's great.
She is, yeah. who's shooting? What viewpoint
Heather's
is this?
shooting on the Heather's shooting on the 16. But the audio is being picked up from from the camera Mike was using. That's what they wanted to go with because there's no audio on Heather's camera.
Right, of course. That makes sense. No, there wouldn't be.
They did that so well because it does sound like
Yeah.
it's coming.
And there he is standing in the
closer.
corner. Yep. And boom. That's a great detail. Yeah, because there wouldn't be any audio on the 16 because you wouldn't. There wouldn't be. It would just be great detail.
They did that perfectly because as she's progressively getting closer to Mike,
right.
You're hearing her more and more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And there it is, written, directed, and edited by.
Yeah.
Amazing, folks. Amazing. That is the Blair Witch Project. If you're watching after the fact, comment below and let Tony and Knightly and I know what you think of the Blair Witch Project. You got to let us know what you think. Let's go over to the chat room now and see what people are saying and get a few questions going on. If anybody has any questions for Knightly specifically or for the three of us, just let us know. Movie Chat and More Part 2 says, hey, Tony, I know we'll never agree on Friday, but I still think you're movie-educated, funny, entertaining, and a great co-host. Love you, buddy. Well, thank you very much for saying that, Richard. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yeah, man. Let's see here. We can agree to disagree and still be friendly with each other. It's an incredible concept, I know, but hey, it works. Booster Seat sends in $5 and says, have you seen Candyman 2021 yet? I have not yet. The end credits had no rap or rock music. The credits are very spooky. Well, that's really cool. Knightly, have you seen Candyman yet?
I have seen Candyman, and
What'd you think?
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of really cool art direction that was done in a lot of different scenes, of zooming in, zooming out, or just colors on backgrounds that I thought was just beautiful, really well done.
Very cool.
I thought it was all right.
It was all right. Tony, have you seen it yet?
No, not yet. I'll get to it. I'm probably gonna see it when it comes on one of the free streaming platforms.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen it yet. Let's see here. What do we got going on here? Let's see. MAGA Cat says, any word on Dylan's new nightmare? No. Same thing I've been saying the whole time. The reason we have not moved forward on that yet is because of the situation with the big C-19, and the border situation with the border and Omicron ramping up, and it just sucks. And listen, I've made it very clear that it's not my fault, of course, but part of the holdup is, of course, me. I'm in Toronto, so there's many factors. It's not just. It's trickier to think about now, right? It's not just going to the States. Obviously, you always have to have insurance and all that kind of stuff if something were to happen. But now there's just extra layers, and the traveling is a nightmare, I hear, and there's all sorts of stuff. So it'll happen. It's going to happen. But the money that was raised is in holding, and hopefully we can get to it this year. Fingers are crossed. Frank Riker says, my wife's sister still believes the Blair Witch Project is real. Really? Even after telling her it's not?
And Heather's on Instagram posting all the time.
And there's end credits that say directed, written, and edited by?
Yeah, just little things like that.
Little things like that. Well, you tell her sister that she's wrong. That'd be funny.
Yeah, MAGA Cat. Actually, I do sell photography. I can't sell the horror pictures, but if you're following my Anthony Michael picks, the country themed pictures, I've actually sold quite a few of those. You got to be into the country stuff, where I live.
They're cool photos,
and whatnot. Yeah, but I've actually sold quite a bit of those images, and those are mine.
Nice.
So they're not copyright. I can't sell the horror pictures. That's a no.
Yeah, because of the characters.
Copyright. It's character copyright.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Let's see here. Michael Myers says, Dave, did you see that Kyle Allen was cast as He-Man for the live action movie? I did. I saw all that a few days ago. Knightly, I know.
I heard everyone was trying to pull for Chris Hemsworth, right?
No, I don't think so. I didn't hear that. He's too busy. He's getting prepared to do, I think, a Hulk Hogan biopic. I think he needs to listen. Hemsworth is big, but he's still probably about 100 pounds. He still needs to be Hulk Hogan, 80s Hulk Hogan. Knightly, I know it's before your time, but are you a Masters of the Universe fan?
No, I've never seen it.
No, I did hear about that. So Sony Pictures had the rights to do Masters of the Universe, and they were going to do it. They were all set to do it. This is not, this is news. I mean, it's been out there. And then it kind of went into sort of a stall, and we haven't heard anything in over a year, and now Netflix has it, and they are going to be doing a Masters of the Universe movie over at Netflix. Now, I was a big He-Man fan growing up in the 1980s, had all the toys. I mean, for goodness, I could reach over here to my left and I can pull out He-Man, you boob. That's what he always told He-Man. Anyways, I'm a big He-Man fan, and I would love nothing more than to see a Masters of the Universe movie done right, but it has got to be done right. It can't be cartoony or hokey. Even the new Masters of the Universe cartoon by Kevin Smith on Netflix, I really like it. Like, I really do. But I want Skeletor, if we're going to do live action, fuck, man. I've always said, and there's a video on my channel where I've said this, I want to see, like, this has got to be this world, Eternia, He-Man, Skeletor, Snake Mountain, Castle Grayskull. I mean, it's got to be majestic. It's got to be like other world, like just epic, huge, magnificent. Like, I think Skeletor, should,
kind of like on the Avatar scale.
Yes, I guess. Yes, I guess so. It's kind of like, I've heard people say that a Masters of the Universe movie has to be like Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings. And in a lot of ways, that's true. And if I was to cast, like, I wouldn't want to shoot a hokey movie with Skeletor cracking lines and all that. No, I'm saying, like, you deliver, you take it seriously. There's a saying that's like, you play it like Shakespeare. You take it seriously. You don't actually write it like Shakespeare. It's just a saying that means you take it seriously. You're not fucking around. And I would cast somebody like Skeletor would be like 6'8", 6'9", maybe 6'10". Like, we're talking like Undertaker size. And when he's introduced, he walks into the room. You don't really see him. He's in shadow. He's walking with his staff, and he's huge. And he's just commands presence, and he's purple. He's got the cloak on and shit. He's broad, and everybody's looking at it, like, very much like how, like, when Darth Vader was introduced in, like, Return of the Jedi, or whatever. He's the Darth Vader of this universe, and just the way he's introduced. And He-Man, Prince Adam, Kyle Allen here. Sure, he can be Prince Adam, but he's way too small to be He-Man. He-Man's got to be, I don't think He-Man should be as big as Skeletor. If Skeletor was like 6'9", let's say, He-Man should be like 6'4", 6'5". But he's huge. He's big. Yeah. He's like The Rock, or maybe even a bit bigger.
I was going to say, so you want him like Jason Momoa size?
No, bigger than Jason Momoa. No. He-Man's
Momoa's like 6'4", man.
Oh no, in terms of height, yes, but Momoa's not as big. But He-Man's got to be
huge for Aquaman.
But have you seen? No, but I'm talking bodybuilder shit. Like, I'm talking He-Man's got to have like the guns that are like up here, like Arnold back in his day. You know what I mean? Like, he's got to have, defined. I'm not saying Momoa is not huge and not ripped, but there's different degrees, right? And I'm talking like fucking, it's like, it almost looks like the 80s cartoon, but we're playing it like Shakespeare. We're taking it fucking seriously. And like, create a world that is magnificent and majestic. And I think, and play it like the hero's journey, play it like it's about this guy who discovers he's a prince. He discovers he's He-Man, and there's all this burden and expectation on him, and what does that do to him? And oh my God, like, do I really want to be He-Man? And he goes through this journey and self-discovery about who he is and what it means to be He-Man, and he's got to fucking protect the universe. If you play it like that, Even people who've never heard of He-Man, they're going to get lost in the story. Who don't care about He-Man, they're going to get lost in the story, in the hero's journey. They're going to be able to relate to it. It's going to be a great story with rich characters, great worlds, world building, a magnificent fucking villain. Oh my God. I've always said, and I've said this for years, I've said if they could do Skeletor right, that's the big thing, if they could play Skeletor like that, people in the chat room are probably going to laugh, but I seriously believe there is potential for Skeletor to be one of the greatest cinematic villains of all time. I'm not talking about He-Man, you boob. I don't mean that Skeletor. I mean, like, again, you play him like Shakespeare. You play him like Vader. And he just, the way he looks and the way he sits on his throne, and he's got, Panther, right? The fuck, and we're talking like Jungle Book, Disney Jungle Book level CGI, I mean, like, fuck. Man, I'm telling you, that's a movie I want to see. That's a movie I want to see, and just it looks beautiful, and Snake Mountain and shit, and bridges with lava underneath, and Skeletor riding. Oh my God, like I'm unbelievable. That's what I want to see. Anyway, I know I went off on a little fanboy rant there, but it got me excited. I mean, Knightly.
Yeah.
Would you go watch a movie like that?
Yeah.
Would I present it to you?
Yeah.
See?
That's pretty good.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Knightly has spoken, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's see another super chat here. I think something came in. Hang on, let me go back. There was that one. And then, have you seen Candyman yet? Richard follows up with Halloween Kills or Halloween 6, either cut. Oh, I'll take Halloween 6 over Kills.
Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
I'll take Halloween 6.
Yeah, I wasn't a... Yeah, again, I don't hate Halloween Kills, folks. I don't hate it. But for me, it was a step down.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. So you really liked 18. What were your thoughts on Kills? Knightly?
Yeah, I didn't really like Kills.
No?
I think it could have been, I feel like, so good with the legacy characters and everything, but I feel like it was just it just wasn't there, like there was good music and good moments. Like I did enjoy like the firefighter scene and some of the others, but I thought there was just some odd acting, some odd writing, some odd editing, and the hospital and everything. Danny
DeVito. It's
Danny
Michael.
DeVito.
It's Danny DeVito. What did you think of the flashback?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was easily the best part.
Really cool.
Yeah, like because I never saw any of those classic Halloween movies in the theater, like, so that was really cool. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, I can't get over the disappointment I felt when going to see The Curse of Michael Myers.
Oh yeah.
Not seeing Danielle Harris in the role of Jamie and not knowing that she wasn't going to be in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just
Now, I don't want to speak for Knightly, but the reason why I would choose 6 over Kills is not because somebody might be like, but what about all the Thorn stuff? Oh yeah, it's crap. It's garbage. It's absolute dog shit. It's terrible. It's terrible. But for me, when you have the legacy characters and you do nothing with them, and the pacing and the hospital scene and the disjointed sort of feel of the movie, and it just 6 is not a good movie, but it's competently made in terms of pacing. There's no structure issues. It's just the story I don't like. It's the story really of 6 I don't like, and I wouldn't have done that. But in terms of watching it, I'd rather watch 6, I think, even though that sounds strange to say maybe to some people, because I don't like 6 really at all either.
Yeah, same, but I'm exactly the same boat as you.
Yeah, but again, I don't hate Halloween Kills. Okay, I mean it's certainly, I don't hate it. It's just
it's not the worst in the franchise.
No, not by a long shot. Not by a long shot. But it was a step. I think there was a lot of potential, a lot of hype, and it just was a step back. But we'll see what happens with Ends. Are you looking forward to? Well, I guess you are looking forward to Ends. What do you hope they do in Ends?
I feel like there's no hope anymore for me.
I like how you're honest. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, will I see it? Yes. Will I probably see it opening night? Yes. But I'm very I am highly skeptical, and so it would take a lot for me personally.
Do you hope this really is the end, and they do the Michael story, or do you hope that there's a cliffhanger ending and they keep going with Allison or somebody?
I hope at the very least that this is the end of this storyline from David Gordon Green.
Right. Yeah.
I really with a name Halloween Ends, it better end.
Yeah, let's hope Halloween Ends doesn't
or they do Halloween Ends Part 1, Halloween Ends Part 2.
Halloween Ends Part 3. Hopefully Halloween Ends doesn't become like Friday the 13th, the final chapter. You know what I mean? Where's the Halloween A New Beginning? Maybe is what they'll do. I don't know. I think you can end the story as we know it and go off. And if you want to retell the story for a new generation some years later, you can totally do that. But nobody wants to see 88-year-old Michael. I mean,
Well, it's kind of funny you say that, because I started to do the math in my head. Isn't that how old? We know Sally is definitely old, right? We have to figure Sally in Texas Chainsaw Massacre is what, her early 20s? And Leatherface has got to be what? He's got to be at least got them beat by 10 years or more.
I don't know. It's a good question. So maybe Leatherface is 80, because Sally.
I was going to say Leatherface has got to be in his close to 80, and he's wielding that chainsaw around he's in his 20s. And I'm like,
that's a good point. I would say that
unless Leatherface was young in that film, that's the only way they're going to have to.
Sally's probably in her 70s. Probably. I mean, she'd have to be. Yeah.
Because if that's set in 74, and you got to figure. We'll go. We'll say 20 minimally.
Okay,
right?
She's 20
minimally.
So she's 20.
Right.
So she'd be almost 70. So she'd be 68.
Almost right. Exactly. And that's where we're giving her the benefit of the doubt that her character is 20. Probably
right.
She's probably a little bit older.
Right. Now, did either of you get, because she's a legacy? Oh, now obviously it's not the same actress. Sadly, that actress died.
She passed away, right?
She did. So this is a new actress who's reprising that role, but I think they've cast really well. I have no trouble believing it's the same woman.
Agreed.
So they've done well there. But do you get sort of a Halloween 18 Laurie Strode vibe from the?
Definitely.
Yeah. I didn't want to go there, but
I kind of got. Which it isn't necessarily going to be a bad thing. I mean,
which makes me wonder remember how they had an original blueprint for this where they were going and then they went back and redid the script.
Mm-hmm.
Got a feeling Halloween 2018 had some inspiration on that.
But
got a feeling.
Maybe a
just
little.
a little.
Maybe. But I will say that, again, I mean, I see a lot of people. I mean, you guys know this, but I see a lot of people sort of go, what? That doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Well, because you go watch it and because it succeeds and it does well. Studios look for patterns and what's hot and what does well. I'm speaking generally, of course, but that's why you'll see say a movie about, I'm just being silly when I say this, but let's say a movie comes out and it's sort of a sleeper hit, and it's a killer, school bus or something, right? And it's a killer school bus and it spawns arms or whatever, right? Silly, whatever. But it's a sleeper hit. It does really, really, really. It's huge. Well, that's why sometimes you see other studios kind of making their own versions now, and the Paramount is doing a killer boat, and so is doing a killer, because they see what's hot. If you really want studios to stop making this, you got to stop going to see them. And as soon as what's hot is no longer hot, the studios drop it like that. They drop it like it's nobody's business, and so they will continue to follow this trend because they realize, well, Halloween 2018 is the highest grossing slasher film in motion picture history. Okay, so wow, okay. What? Let's do our own version of it.
Texas Chainsaw is being released to Netflix, so they're not even getting
It is
box office.
No, well, there would be there'd be money exchanged, obviously,
Sure,
but
I get that. I get
but
that.
you're right. No, it's not going to become the highest grossing slasher of all time, but it'll do well. It'll do well on there. People will watch it.
And like I know, like what's Jake here says, Leatherface is a geriatric powerlifter. Now look, there are people, and you see it all over YouTube, who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, doing some serious powerlifting, still working out. Like I hope that's me in another 40 years. That's my goal. So I'm not saying it's not possible to be, weightlifter training, but when you're watching this trailer and the movement and the chasing that Leatherface is doing,
he's agile.
At his
he's
age,
spry.
It's like, okay, like again, you're gonna have to tell me then that the Leatherface we saw with Gunnar Hansen in 1974 again had to be 20 years old for me to believe, because there's no way I'm gonna believe a guy in his 70s or 80s is doing half of this stuff.
Right. No, I get it.
know?
I get it. Let's see here. Cody Snyder sends in $5, says for Frank. Oh, that's right. It is Frank's birthday today. I wish him a happy birthday earlier, but I should say happy birthday here on the channel. You beautiful son of a bitch. What's the next what if topic for DT? Well, we don't know yet. We're mulling around a few ideas, Cody, so we'll let you know as soon as we know. But happy birthday to Frank.
That's not true. We're doing what if Dave McRae was mooning Dr. Loomis at the end of the original.
Yes.
So instead of seeing nothing on the grass, it's Dave McRae mooning Loomis.
Or what if?
And it works is that Loomis's expression actually works for that moment.
It does. So when Loomis looks over the balcony, it's me doing the Jim Carrey from Ace Ventura talking with my ass cheeks. Is that what I'm doing? That's what I'm doing? Okay. Yeah. No. It's actually what if Dr. Loomis shot Jamie Lloyd, blood squibs coming out of her. She falls, barrel rolls down the stairs. Loomis continues to shoot her. Meeker's got no control over him. Die. Blood squibs coming off of her and shit. There's this blood. I don't know what it is, man. I just think that would never have flown, obviously. Yes, happy birthday to Frank Riker. It's his birthday today. Frank, we love you, buddy. Thanks so much for being awesome and doing what you do here. Let me see here. Booster Seat sends in $2, says Pinhead versus Michael Myers. No. No, I don't know.
As a movie, or are we picking who would?
Well, he says versus, so I'm assuming versus. I'm not a versus guy. I mean, Freddy versus Jason is fun, dumb fun, but I never want to see versus movies. It's just a personal taste for me. Knightly, are you a versus fan or?
No, I'm not. Same boat as you are, Dave. I didn't like Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah, I didn't really either. No.
It only works for the monster movies like Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus whoever. You know what I mean? That's where it works the best.
Or Alien versus Predator. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I don't, the verses in the horror yet. No.
Yeah.
Cool. Movie Chat and More says, Tony, what do you think of AEW? I'm not a fan. What's AEW?
What is it? I don't even know what it is. What is it?
Is that supposed to be A and W?
I thought
like the root beer.
Root beer. That's what I started to think. Like root beer. Yeah, actually, I do. I don't. I'm on a soda cleansing right now, but actually, AW root beer and Orange Sunkiss are my two go-to sodas.
Knightly, do you know what AEW is?
No.
I don't either.
I don't know what E means, but I know the root beer, obviously.
Oh yeah, the root beer. I'm not sure.
It was the root beer too. That's what I thought he was asking.
I'm not sure. Chat room will help us out. What he means by that. Booster Seat sends in $2, says Scream 5 has 3 Laurie Strodes, Dewey, Gale, and Sydney. That's true. I've yet to see Scream 5, so keep spoilers to a minimum.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I haven't seen it either, so let's move on.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
That's just it. That's it.
Oh, it's a wrestling thing. Oh, okay. So I didn't even know. I had no clue.
All Elite Wrestling. I've never heard of it.
Never. I'll have to check them out. I don't know.
All Elite? Are they really all elite? Or just a few of them elite?
That's a bold statement.
Thank you, Knightly. Yes, it is. That is a bold statement.
Oh, yeah. Wrestling, as what's his name would say.
It's wrestling.
No, that's just the way it sounded like coming out of his Ted Turner.
Oh.
It sounded like to McMahon, Ted Turner. I'm going in the wrestling business.
Yes. All elite. Yeah, it's a bold statement.
Okay.
I mean, I think really it should just be called few elite. Can you imagine? Few elite wrestling?
Yeah.
Few elite.
My interest level in wrestling ended with the Attitude Era. Shortly, I stuck with it a little bit after the Attitude Era. I forget what that era was. It was
90s.
There was something briefly after the Attitude Era, which Stone Cold was still a part of, The Rock was still a part of. I can't remember what the hell it was called now. But by then is when I started to fizzle out and just was like, I'm over this.
Yeah, I haven't. I watched wrestling when I was a kid, like in the 80s, when it was
the golden age. Fuck
when it was Hogan and Macho Man, and I think a lot of us did who are of that age. And then I lost interest sort of kind of early to mid 90s, and then
the new generation.
Yeah. And then got,
era.
Oh, is it? Okay. And then I got re-interested in it again. It was a lot of fun to watch from like 97 to like 99 or 2000, which is the Attitude Era. Stone Cold and over, the WCW, the Monday Night Wars, Goldberg, all that kind of stuff.
That was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, no disrespect when I say this, of course, but I grew out of it. If you are 40, 50 years old and still watch it and enjoy it, all power to you. I think that's awesome. Yeah. But I grew out of it shortly after that. I haven't watched wrestling in 20 years. I mean, I know sort of, I hear things, but I haven't like sat down and watched it.
I don't even know
in 20 years.
But ruthless, I can't even say it. Ruthless Aggression Era. Thank you, Cody. That came in shortly right after the Attitude Era.
Ruthless Aggression Era?
That's when I checked. Yeah,
that's wordy.
It's I don't know. It's a mouthful.
It is.
It really is. And that right in that time frame is when, like you said, I lost, I just lost interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just start growing out of it. It's never going to be the same. I mean, my favorite era for sure will always be the Attitude Era, but there's always, and I stuck with it through the New Generation Era too, which was, the WWF was dying at that time. It really was. It was a dying brand.
It was.
But there's just something that's very sentimental to the 80s, you know what I mean? In those early WrestleManias, Hogan always being over, which was annoying. But it was the charm. I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. That didn't work out too well for me. Just
eat your prayers. Eat your prayers.
Eat your prayers. What?
Say your prayers and eat your steroids. That's what it should have been. Yeah,
it should have been right.
Eat your steroids. Okay, like Ruthless Aggression Era. That just sounds so wordy. All right, we'll go for a few more minutes here, and then we'll call it a show. What else? Yeah. Pat Broadbent says, Dave, you would be a great wrestling commentator. Yes, I would. I agree. I'd be the Joe Rogan of wrestling. No, I don't know. That'd be fun. I don't know a fuck all about it. I mean, in terms of like I'd have to have I think the best commentators are either former wrestlers or whatever, or just like people who are there who really have a passion for it. You know what I mean?
My favorite commentator combination were Vince McMahon and
Jesse the Body Ventura. Yes,
those.
Listen here, McMahon.
Yeah, those two were great. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan were also good together.
That was good. That was good.
Jerry the King and JR at the end there with the Attitude Era. I mean, dude, JR, Stone Cold.
Oh,
He sounded like he was having an aneurysm if Stone Cold would come in and save the day, man. But he sold it, and you need that type of, but now, like, again, during the Ruthless Aggression Era, when JR it was becoming more like Michael Cole. Like, that dude sounds like a weenie. Honestly, he really does. Like, he sounds like a weenie when he's commentating. I can't stand Michael Cole when he's commentating. I just really couldn't. But yeah, as far as for me, it would go McMahon, Ventura, then Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon, then the King and JR.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Let's see here. What else we got? What is the most iconic franchise?
What are we referring to?
Well, I think where'd it go? I just saw it here.
Like in a broad, like everything, like
probably horror. I'm sure they mean horror. Where'd it go? I wanted to give the person credit, their name, and I lost it. It skipped up on me, and now I can't find it. Damn it. Oh well. Oh, here it is. Michael Myers says, Dave and Tony, what is the most iconic franchise in your opinion? I'm assuming they're talking about horror. Well, it depends on what...
Yeah, coming from Michael. Then
there you go. It depends on what you mean by iconic. I always say that. I know it sounds like I'm being annoying when I say this, but I like to know what the measuring stick is. So what do we mean by iconic, right? Usually I think when people say iconic, they generally mean, like the most popular or what's out there the most. I think the most popular horror franchise, well, it depends, like now or back in the day or whatever. But I mean,
because you definitely got to go by decades. Because if this were the 80s, the answers would be so different.
It'd be so different. Yeah. I mean, so different, so I'm not sure. I think, in the 80s, it was Friday the 13th and Elm Street. I
think there's a core four though. I think if you were to say the core four iconic franchise,
slasher movies, maybe.
Slasher would be Halloween, Nightmare, Friday the 13th, and Scream. That would be the core four.
I would agree with that.
As popularity and brand, you know.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Because they all four got their fan base,
That's true.
And they each of its original films definitely set the bar for the genre. It did something. It moved the genre forward. Halloween obviously setting it off. Friday the 13th moving the genre forward. And obviously what Wes did with Nightmare.
Terror Train. No, I hate Terror Train. I'm not a fan of Terror Train.
And then Scream, the original, sort of embodies the whole thing.
I get you. So yeah. Southpaw 82 sends in $2, says Ultimate Warrior is the greatest. Ultimate Warrior was great.
My brother would agree with you, but I got to go with
Macho Man.
Macho Man was my guy.
Oh yeah, the cream rises to the top.
The cream of the crop.
Hogan, I'm gonna tear it off like it's nobody's business right now. Hogan, I'm gonna kill you, you son of a... He was so intense. It looked like he was having an aneurysm every time he spoke. So Macho Man, what do you think? Well, listen here, Mean Gene. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna take Hogan. He's not gonna get it. I'm gonna kick his, but I think maybe he'd like highs and lows, peaks and valleys, it's just insane.
That dude did an 8-ball before he did those promo cuts. Full well cocaine played a huge part of his promos.
But the funny thing is, when you watch videos of Randy Savage, because obviously he's dead now, a lot of them are, but when you see interviews with him, he almost be like, certainly in the early 2000s, there's this one interview where somebody is asking him about Hogan, right? And right now he's not in his character. I mean, but he was always in his character, just walking around. He had the shades on and whatever. It was like 2004 or whatever. I'm sure wrestling fans have seen this video, but he's talking.
Yeah, his beard is like black.
Yes, his beard's black. Yeah, and he's got this guy who he calls Gorgeous George.
Yes.
And what's funny is that the interviewer's like, so what do you think of Hogan? And Macho Man sounds like this, and he just sounds like this. And then what's funny is that he's the guy says something, and Macho Man agrees with him, and he goes, right. Right, like really intense. Like, so I was telling like, yeah, right. Well, I don't know, man. Gorgeous George right here. So
he wanted to do in that video. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he wanted to do an actual real fight between him and Hogan, right?
Maybe.
For charity, something like that for charity, but like a real. Yeah, like he was pushing it as a real fight. Yeah. Between him and Hogan.
Hogan doesn't. I'm gonna ride the cream. I love the interview with Mean Gene where he's got the cream. He's got the cream in his hand. Yeah, but he's got. I don't know where he's putting them. He's always saying the cream rise. Oh yeah, I'm about to walk in and oh yeah. I mean, he was so always like this, always on all the time. It was incredible.
I was so like, I gotta tell you, there's been a few moments in my life where I've been pissed off watching wrestling as a kid, and two of them happened. One was when Macho Man won the belt at WrestleMania 4 and Hogan stole the spotlight. That shit, that pissed me off as a kid. but then in WrestleMania 5, when the Mega Powers exploded and Hogan got put over again, I was just like, fuck you, McMahon. Fuck you, dude. Like, fuck you, bro. Like, I was so fucking fed up with, because Hogan had his run. Savage didn't get what he deserved.
Right.
He never got, like, I mean, he was a
You're
great
right
champion,
about that.
for the time, but McMahon just kept relying on Hogan as being the fucking face of the franchise, and it just, the fact that he was in there, and it should have just been Macho Man and Elizabeth when he won the title.
Let me tell you something about Hogan.
You know who sounds like Macho Man now when he's just talks? Jake the Snake Roberts. He just sounds like him, just talking naturally.
Talk about a dude who's redeemed himself.
Yeah.
Like, in
true.
such a great way, cleaned up and everything. Like,
Right.
I thought for sure he was going to be another one of these guys who doesn't make it out of his 40s.
I know. Movie Chat and More Part 2 sends in £5, says, hey Dave, your older stuff still cracks me up even when I'm feeling like crap. Your H8 vids are so funny and the Reitman one is pure genius. Well, thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. Yeah, every now and then I'll get a comment on a video that's like 3 or 4 years old, and I'm like, oh wow, somebody's watching that. So I appreciate that. I'm glad they can do that. All right, what are we here? We're over 2 hours. This is good. This has been good. Okay, we'll go
30.
Yeah, what, Knightly, are you good for like maybe another 10 minutes? Go to 8:30?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. Let's take this thing to 8:30, baby. We're taking it home.
Right.
I know Michael Myers has been asking this question a lot about the
I
Batman.
don't care about Michael.
Okay, no, go ahead.
The new Batman soundtrack. No, dude, I have not. I haven't listened to it. Have you listened to it, Dave? For the new Batman movie?
No, but I've heard, no, I haven't. I've just heard the music in the trailers.
Yeah, I haven't yet. Not yet.
I'm sure it looks cool though.
I'll get around to it at some point because we're getting close to the
March
release.
something. Yeah. Are you going to go see the new Batman Nightly?
I don't know. I really like Batman, like the universe,
Right.
but I've never actually seen a single Batman movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like not even like the old school Michael Keaton ones.
No, I have not.
Wow.
Would you?
My love for Batman comes from there's a really good video game trilogy of Batman games, and
Cool.
they are really, really good. They're dark and
Which games? That's my brother's area, so I might have heard of them.
the Arkham games, Arkham
Okay,
Asylum.
Arkham Asylum, yeah. I have the
Yeah.
comic. I have the comic of Arkham Asylum, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the comic based off of the games?
I think so. I do not.
I'm not
know for
100% sure because this is not my world.
Yeah.
But this universe is the one that I'm like you. I'm drawn to the Batman world. I don't care too much about the Marvels and the comic books in general, but Batman.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So maybe someone in the comment will help me out. I have the Arkham Asylum comic for those of you who know what I'm talking about. Is it the same as the game that he's referring to? Is that what this is all based off of? Just maybe someone who's more knowledge in the chat room will let me know. But that's cool. But you gotta watch them. You should watch them.
You should. I would recommend you watching because it's modern. I would recommend watching because it might appeal to. Although I don't know, maybe not. Maybe the older ones would, but definitely the Nolan trilogy. Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises. I think you'd enjoy those. They're the original,
the original. You can end with just the first two. You don't need to go to the Val Kilmer or George Clooney.
But even if you did like the Michael Keaton ones, I should say, Batman and Batman Forever. No, Batman Returns. They're very sort of very. Not in a bad way, but just very sort of the set design and the look is very cartoony, comic booky, kind of like right from the page sort of thing. Whereas the Nolan trilogy, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, you've heard of those movies, right?
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Rises, they're very much sort of a very real world feeling, right. Very sort of grounded in reality, kind of feels real. Christian Bale obviously plays Batman, and Heath Ledger was the Joker and whatnot. I think you'd enjoy those films. Yeah, I'd check them out. I'd check them out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Alright,
check them out.
I'll get to that.
The more, and remember, I called it on here. Dave, you can back my ass up on this. The more I watch the Pattinson trailers, I just got a feeling he's going to be the best Batman that we've ever had.
He might
And
be.
I said that from the start. I was on his. I was a fan from the moment he was announced. And you can go back and watch old videos that Dave and I did. I think we even talked about it for when it was first announced.
Mhm.
And I've had, and the more I'm watching the trailers for this, a couple of my most anticipated films this year. The Batman is at the top of the list for sure.
Yeah. It's piqued my interest. Absolutely. Movie Chat and More Part 2 says, Dave, your savage is spot on.
Right. Yep.
I can't do that.
What about the guy? Hogan's.
Dave does it and it sounds pristine. If I attempted to do it, I'd sound like an 80-year-old woman who smoked all her life while doing crack.
You just right.
Mendel Goodman sends in $5. No, he says, yes, Dave, I will. Yes, Dave, I still watch your commentary on H5 that you made like 3 years ago, and I love it every time. The commentary I did on H5. Oh, you mean like, was it a Saturday movie night or the one that Tony and I did a few years back? Yeah, well, they're fun. I mean, it's cool. Like I said, I'd say maybe a few times a week, I'll see a notification come in and it'll be from a viewer that's watched something that's from like a couple years ago. I notice it actually maybe happens more when I'm not uploading regularly. So people, maybe they're like, I feel like they're in the mood to watch a Dave McRae video or something. So they go back and watch one of my older ones. That's the impression I get. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's great, man. They're there for you to keep watching. So that's awesome. Let's see what else we got here going on. Nathan sounds like a truck stop waitress.
What would you like?
Take your. No, I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna fucking try.
Are you ready to order?
Oh, hi, ma'am.
Yep. That's right.
And you can do walking, right?
Hello, come on.
Yeah, you got a good walking.
Welcome to the world. It's fine. The chew.
It almost sounds like you've got a lump in your throat, but you're also talking through your nasals. Am I wrong? To do walking.
I don't really think about it. It does come. Hello, my shoes are untied in the field beyond all. That's young walking. Older walking is, hello, I'm here now. Come on. That's it's walking like today. That's walking today.
It's a walking Schwarzenegger hybrid.
Yeah, well, if you were to watch him today, he's like, come on, I'm here. Let's go now. But younger walking was up here like this all the time. You know, come on. It's not a perfect impression, but it's just getting the cadence right? You know what I mean? It's good enough that you know who I'm doing. You know, it's not like, who's that? Fuck. I'm walking. Nah. No. Never would have guessed that. All right, 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes left in the show, folks. 2 more minutes left in the show. Colin Murdy says, I rewatch the shows all the time, especially during COVID. Always fun to revisit. Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that's cool. Some of our Two Dudes episodes, I will go back and check every now and then. Be like, wow, that one's got like 10,000 views. I'm like, holy crap. You know, obviously it's mostly the Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, that's good because that's why they're there.
When all else fails, if Dave and I need some views, just go to Halloween.
Go to Halloween. Mr. Shape says, Dave, are you going to review the new Scream soon? Well, I'm not going to review it because I don't do reviews on the channel in the traditional formal way. I know there's a Halloween. I do quote unquote review the new Halloween films because it's Halloween and that's sort of what my channel was built on. But you know, when you look at other channels like Cody Leach, Drum Dums, the Wham guys, they do reviews all the time. I'm not a movie reviewer per se. I really don't have an interest in doing that. So will I talk about the new Scream and kind of talk about, you know, what I liked or what I didn't like? Sure. But it all depends, I guess, on what you're I mean, for some people, they may think I'm playing a semantics game. Well, that's a review. Well, to some people it might be. But when I look at a reviewer like Cody Leach, you know, Chris Stuckman or whoever, like there's clearly a formula and a criteria that they're following, and they go in depth on movies. And those are movie reviewers.
I don't look at you the same way.
No, I've always thought like my YouTube persona would be like I'm a movie commentator. You know, when I'm on YouTube, that's who I think I am, or that's who I feel I am.
You are a movie opinionator.
I'm a movie
opinion.
Opinionator, come on.
Opinionator. I'll be back.
Come on, now your shoes. All right, maybe this will be the last one here. Yes, this will be the last one. HT Story says, "Hey Dave, is New Line Cinema going to put Freddy in the next Mortal Kombat film since New Line owners Nightmare?" I certainly hope not. I certainly hope not. But, well, you never know. You never know. They might. All right, folks. Wrong one there. I did that. I think I did that last week, too. I know. That's going to do it for this episode of Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Nightly, stick around after we go offline. We'll have more of kind of like a formal goodbye. But I want to thank Nightly for joining us here tonight on Two Dudes. Nightly, you're awesome, man. Thank you so much for being here. Anything you want to say? You want to plug your socials if you care for people following you? Or maybe you don't want people following you. It's up to you.
Yeah, I have social at New Nightmare with a K.
Very cool. Awesome stuff. Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. Tony and I will be back, of course, next Monday night at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 140. Holy snapping crap. Hard to believe we've done 139 of these things. Tony, any last things you want to say?
No, this was a lot of fun. It was cool to have him on, and yeah.
All right, that'll do it. Have a great rest of your week, folks. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.